In the booth, I refer to Dick Irvin with Gary Dornhofer.
Around Montreal, you hear a lot of talk of the battle for the rights of the championship of the province of Quebec. Gary, will there be battles? Is that the kind of a series we're going to see?
I don't expect it, Dick. Number one, I think both teams realize the importance of staying on the ice and playing hockey. You know, during the regular season, what was there, 9 fights in the 10 games, and just a few combatants, and they'll be out there again, and if they fight, throw them out of the game and then get on with some serious hockey.
Two things that strike me. One, the Canadiens have had the long layoff, and two, the players who should be scoring for Quebec have been scoring. That was certainly the case in the Hartford series.
Well, the Nordiques have a lot of confidence right now, and they got all their injured players back, and they just feel that they're going to do some damage in this series. Montreal, it's hard to say what the layoff will do to them, Dick. I think we'll have a better indication after the first period.
Well, it won't be long now. Here again, Brian McFarland.
Well, Gary thinks the series coming up may be more fast than physical, and he may be right. We all agree it may go long, 6 or 7 games. The tradition continues on Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, fans, it all comes down to this moment. This is where it all gets decided. Johnson steps in, checks the signs, makes a few adjustments.
Islanders bone weary after their marathon with Washington. The man who was at that game is with us tonight. Don Cherry will be along in the coach's corner first intermission. Looking at the other playoff matchups, the Islanders and Philadelphia, you see how they got there. And in the Norris division, tomorrow night, it's Toronto and Detroit. Toronto eliminated the Blues. Detroit shot down Chicago. In the Smythe division, Winnipeg and Edmonton clash in the Smythe finale. The Jets ousted Calgary 4-2. Edmonton had no trouble at all with Los Angeles. Well, I had a good shot with Michel Bergeron this morning just after the skate here at the Forum. He's really happy to be here, of course, because his club gave him so much anxiety about 6 or 8 weeks ago when Buffalo was threatening to overtake them. Then everything fell into place. His big guns started firing. People like Stastny, Ogrodnik, and Goulet, and some of the young Turks came along very well late in the season as well. I mean Jason Lafreniere and others like Finn and Brown. And if you're looking for the rough stuff tonight, we recommend you keep an eye on Cordic of the Montreal Canadiens and Donnelly of the Quebec Nordiques. We also suspect it might be quite a goaltending battle because Gosselin of Quebec has played very well down the stretch and in the playoffs against Hartford. They said he was just sensational in some of those games. And we all know what Patrick Waugh did last year as he marched his team to the Stanley Cup and won the Conn Smythe Trophy. But Patrick Waugh has really not been tested all that severely in the playoffs so far. The series with Boston, while grueling, ended in 4 straight. And Waugh was very excellent in most of those hockey games. Now we're ready for Upstairs and the Anthems.
Okay, Brian, let me tell you this, that despite the transit strike in Montreal, you could not get another person in this building from the looks of it. And when the Canadiens skated out onto the ice about 3 minutes ago, for the first time this season, Gary, they received a standing ovation that went on for a good minute and a half. Reminds you sometimes, I guess, of some of those playoffs with the Flyers at the Spectrum, and they used to give you guys the same thing.
Dick, that happened many, many times, and as a player, you get excited about what's going on the ice. Of course, all the fans getting up here cheering, and, you know, the adrenaline is flowing. 85 degrees here today. I had an opportunity of sitting out, getting a little sun, and so it's going to be quite humid here. And that conditioning, that word, always comes into the forefront.
You mentioned that word, and whatever happens here tonight, those fellas, these fellas on the ice have an awfully tough act to follow. Looking back to that terrific marathon hockey game played Saturday night, seen coast to coast at Hockey Night in Canada, the Islanders and the Washington Capitals, and you and I have a tough act to follow because Bob and Harry did just a super job all the way through till 5 minutes to 2 Eastern Daylight Time. All right, here we have Paul Trepanier and our national anthem. motion with a knife, and in the middle of it are two young goaltenders. Here is Patrick Roy, who skated out. It is now talking to his goalpost. The net is to your left. I often wonder if he gets any good answers. But there he is doing his pregame ritual that became so well known, of course, in the playoffs last year, as he makes his 25th straight playoff start for the Montreal Canadiens. He's 21 years of age. At the other end of the ice, 23-year-old Mario Gosselin, who was number 2, Gary, in their goaltending scheme during the regular season behind Clint Malarchuk, but he played in 5 of the 6 games against the Whalers, and he is number 1 at this moment in the playoffs. All right, Andy Van Hellemond is the referee. He's got to be a little bone-weary. He worked that long game Saturday night. Play underway, traffic jam along the boards directly below us. Claude Lemieux came in and took a pretty good hit at Robert Picard. Risto Siltanen ahead, right side. It's Huff shooting the puck into the Canadian zone, and we get a call behind the play. We got a penalty right off the bat called by Van Hellemond. It's going against the Canadians after only 23 seconds of play. He lets everybody know that this is going to be the rule rather than the exception, fellas. He wants them to play hockey.
Now, Dick, I talked to Bobby Smith this morning, and one of the things that came up was taking bad penalties. And he mentioned this is something we can't do because the Nordiques are on a roll right now in power play efficiency, over 30%. So a game can be determined by a bad penalty, and so not a very good start for Montreal.
Bobby Smith in the penalty box. 3 goals in the playoffs so far, as we look at Jean Perron in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 2nd time as in his career as a head coach in the NHL. And his record is outstanding, of course. Here is Picard at the point. Nordiques control off the faceoff. Anton Stastny to Picard with a shot right on. Roy the save, and as he makes the save, Goulet's knocked out in front by Rick Green, and Peter Stastny is propped up against the goalpost by Chris Chelios. Well, at the other side of the Montreal Forum and behind the visitors' bench tonight is Michel Bergeron, coaching in the playoffs for the 7th time. And a very, very important man in the Nordic scheme of things. You know, he's like that commercial with John McEnroe. Some people like Michel Bergeron, and others...
Well, the players seem to like him. And Dick, as we look at this power play unfold here, the guy that you really have to pay special attention to is Siltanen. Picard will try to give a little lob pass, and Silton, in a lot of cases, will one-time it. Very accurate shooter.
Goulet in the corner. Again, Nordiques control the face-off. Rick Green with an interception. Stastny checked him, but then tossed the puck up to Guy Carbonneau. Carbonneau to Gainey, to the line. Gainey with a quick shot. Gosselin knocks it down. He's knocked down by Chelios. Chelios comes up with the puck. It's back to the line. Green didn't see it. Goulet intercepted by Carbonneau, who's checked by Anton Stastny, and the play is offside as brother Peter Stastny falls. Chris Chelios gets a hand. He was the trailer, if you will, on a rush. The Canadians rushed 3 men, Gary, killing the penalty.
Well, Chelios, he had a fantastic series against the Boston Bruins, and he's taking over where he left off against that series. Collides with Gosselin, and you see Gosselin showing a little act there, Dick. I think he was trying to draw a penalty, but I think that's the kind of game that we expected here tonight. There's going to be a lot of body contact. Most people you talk to thought it was going to be an all-out war, that they would need the medics here, but I don't think that is going to be the case.
For the first of, I am sure, many times in this series, Bergeron is standing up on the players' bench. He thought a penalty should have been called. Gosselin says, I'm shaken up a bit. The trainer is out, and Van Hellemond is there checking as well. Nobody injured on the Canadians. They are missing tonight Shel Darlene, Sergio Momesso, and Michael Lawler. They're all just extra men. 2 regulars from most of the regular schedule out for Quebec. Defenseman David Shaw, who has mono, and Mike Eagles, the forward, who was injured in the last game of the Hartford series.
Dick, I must mention about Andy Van Hellemond. After spending 128 minutes and 47 seconds on the ice, when he got into Montreal, he was looking for someone to give him a massage. He was a little tender in the Achilles area, and also his groins were quite sore. But he's out there tonight and trying to keep up in the play. And I guess that's the one thing the referees are very aware of. Even though the game drags on and 4 overtime periods, you have to stay up in the play and be there in the event of a goal being scored.
And don't forget, the men in the striped shirts don't get to sit on the bench and get a breather for 3 or 4 minutes or so. They were out there the whole time, the 3 officials and the 2 goalies. Meanwhile, back to this game with 1:15 left in the Bobby Smith penalty. This is Anton Stastny on a pass from Picard. Now it's Picard again. Takes a look. Takes a shot. Right on. Long rebound. Picked up by McPhee. A backhand high down the ice.
But that was some great defensive work by Chelios there. He had Goulet. He's the sniper of the Nordiques. Just screened right out. He wasn't able to get in front of Waugh.
We are early in this first period. Canadians are killing a penalty to Bobby Smith. Picard, right side, hands the puck behind it. Nobody there except McPhee, and it rolls off his stick. Peter Stofsy then took McPhee's stick and swept it all the way down the ice. Gets away with it as Picard shoots the puck behind the Montreal net. Roy plays it around the corner. Anton Stastny bumped. Now Chelios takes a run at Peter Stastny. Along the boards for Skrudlin, who one-hands it past Picard.
One thing that Bergeron mentioned this morning, Dick, he said that the Montreal Canadiens are the most physical team in the National Hockey League. So he expected the Canadiens to do exactly what they're doing right now.
12 seconds left in the Smith penalty. No score in the hockey game. Hunter to the line. Good play to Lafreniere. Right side for Goulet. Back in front. And a shot high and wide. Stephen Finn coming in from the defense position. Missed the net. Smith out of the penalty box now. Lafreniere and Skrudlin tie one another up. Here's a chance. Finn again with a drive, and that doesn't get through the traffic in front of the net. Puck is knocked free, and Gainey picks it up, and the Canadiens have a 3-on-2 with Gainey on the right side. Stops at the line into Brian Skrudlin, a backhand wide. Sharp angle. Cote over the red line with a long drive, knocked down by Roy, and meanwhile, back at the ranch, we've got two players, Skrudlin, and I don't know who it is. I can't see a number or a name as everybody is gathered around. And it is Dale Hunter, number 32, which I guess in retrospect shouldn't be all that surprising. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Montreal Forum.
Everything I saw him,
Skrudlin and Dale Hunter, each with 2-minute penalties for their little bit of tugging and wrestling at 2:48. No score. I'm Dick Irvin along with Gary Dornhofer, Brian McFarland, and Don Cherry as we are here to bring you this first game of what promises to be a terrific best-of-7 Adams Division final.
Patrick Waugh mentioned this morning that the Nordiques really jam the front of the net more so on the road than they do at home. Now, in that first power play, they just weren't able to do that against Waugh. He had a clear view of the two bullets that were shot at him.
Ryan Walter hit the Shane Corson. It's Walter, Corson, and Stéphane Richer, who did not play in the two games in Boston in the Canadiens' first round. Puck loose, center ice, Ludwig to Richer. Donnelly, the stick up on Richer. Back it goes to Robinson. They hit to Corson, right side. John Cordick taken out by Finn on a good defensive play by the young defenseman, the rookie out of Laval. Here is Richer at the side of the net. Couldn't draw it out in front to get a shot away. Cordick and Donnelly. Maybe we should keep our eyes on those two. Robinson behind the net as the Nordiques are on a change. Robinson to center ice. The big bird over the red line, flips it high. Gosselin leaves it to the side of the net, and the Canadiens make a change as Rochefort takes over. Normand Rochefort. Center ice, pass to John Ogrodnik. He had a hot scoring hand against Hartford, 5 goals. Puck kept in from the line. Ludwig to Ryan Walter, and he dumps it out to center ice. Again, we must remember the Canadiens haven't played since a week ago Saturday, and there's a lot of speculation what that means to their play. When they lost Game 1 and played poorly in the first half of Game 2 in the finals last year against Calgary, a lot of people said it was because they had been off for a week or so. Here is Lemieux working against Picard. Quick shot wide. Picard played it well off the backboard. Lemieux shoveled a backhand, didn't feed through. Ryan Walter plays it behind the net. Risto Siltanen dodges a check from Bobby Smith. Walter a shot. Oh, good save. The rebound is control the rebound. Neither did his defense. The Canadiens have a 1-0 lead.
Well, one thing that happened here, Dick, is number one, Picard is without a stick. He stood around while the stick was probably only 15, 20 feet away and just try to play without it. You have to get that stick. It only takes a second. But look at Smith, by whacking at it, took the concentration away from Gosselin. And when the puck did hit the ice, Smith was right there and pumped it home. So the Canadiens capitalize on their third shot on net.
27 seconds.
4:27, the time of the goal. Bobby Smith, his fourth of the playoffs. And Jean Perron's Canadiens lead Michel Bergeron's Nordiques 1-0.
Dick, I think if Bobby Smith would have hit that puck when he swung at it originally, I think it would have been over his shoulder. The play would have been whistled down, but by missing him, I think that really upset Goslin there, lost his composure, and boy, oh boy, Smith, he just pounced on that rebound.
Puck flipped high. Nyland was flattened by Finn, and we have a penalty call here for interference on the Quebec defenseman, number 29, Stephen Finn. Canadiens going on a power play.
Just when it seemed gray was the only color, just when it seemed now, and rainbows were the look you were trying for. Then along came Tracer.
Mercury Tracer, the import that Ford built. Now at your Mercury dealer.
Hey, Tracer.
Steve Finn out for interference, 4:36, his first playoff year, the youngster out of Laval. Interference is the call.
Well, coaches, they want to make sure that you have a little contact. You see the upper right corner. Nyland had never made contact. Finn flattened him. And I guess there's a lot of speculation, Dick. How will Jeff Brown and Stephen Finn react here in this series? They're both rookies. They had pretty good playing time in the series against the Hartford Whalers.
From what I saw of the games on television, they reacted very well, Gary. The Nordiques won the last 4 games of that series. The first time all season they had won 4 in a row. Here's Gingras with a drive off the side of the net. Nazem bounces the rebound in front. It was knocked away by Picard with Lemieux there. Penalty coming up here to Claude Lemieux. He got the stick up on Paul Gillis, and it's going to be a high stick call on the Canadiens. Number 32, Claude Lemieux. So Montreal, after only 24 seconds worth of power play time on the Finn penalty, lose the advantage, and Lemieux will go to the penalty box. Right here, we have a Hockey Night in Canada update, and here's Brian.
The Islanders appear to be a little sluggish at the Spectrum in Philadelphia early in the hockey game against the Flyers, and Tim Kerr connects from Zezel as the Islanders have trouble clearing the puck. There's the bouncing disc. Zezel with it now, over to Kerr from about 5 feet in front, and he slips it past a tired Kelly Hrudey. 1-0 Flyers.
Now there is Lemieux. He gets 4 minutes worth. Catch the announcement here.
To Claude Lemieux, 4 minutes for high sticking at 5.
Well, you see Lemieux going in. He actually didn't have control of his stick. That certainly looked like it was an accident, but the stick came up. Van Hellemond was right over there to see if he was cut.
Let's mention a little byplay after the penalty call to Finn before we were away, and while they were getting the lineup straightened out, Basil McRae on the ice, skated by Chris Nyland, stopped for an instant. Nyland ignored him. McRae was smirking. Carbonneau talked to him.
Dick, you know something is going to happen before that the game series is over between those two players.
It's mind games right now. Gingras to Nazem. Over the line, Nazem a backhand pass. Richer rolled it wide. Robinson at the line. A drive deflects off the glass. Rochefort behind the net, dumps it into the corner. Richer fanned on a pass back to Gingras. Peter Stastny, the overtime hero in Game 6 against Hartford, plays it to the far side. Quick pass off the skate of Naslund. Gosselin out of the net, lost his stick. But the Nordiques dump it out of harm's way to center ice. Now, Gary, he didn't go after his stick. He's still there without a goal stick. Here's Naslund. Back to Robinson, and Smith couldn't control the pass.
One of his players have to go out there and retrieve that for him.
Naslund, here's Bobby Smith. Can't get the shot away. Good play by Dale Hunter, checking on Smith. Now it's Robinson, back to Naslund. A drive off a leg, and the Nordiques get a break. Good play by defenseman Jeff Brown. Went off his leg, over the glass, out of play. We have another update from Philly, and here's Brian.
Tim Kerr, obviously the man to watch in a Flyers uniform tonight. He scored once early in the game. He scores twice before the halfway mark of the first period. Here's the play from the corner. Rebound comes right to Kerr. 3 Islanders all turn away from him, and he just jabs it in over the line. So it's 2-0, the Flyers in front of the Islanders.
Well, if the Islanders are a bit sluggish, Andy Van Hellemond, the referee who worked that game, is not. He's been a busy man here in this one. The Canadiens have Lemieux in the box with 2:44 to serve. Finn of Quebec is in. He has 18 seconds left. Here comes Ryan Walter. And Finn comes out of the box. Quebec will be on a power play. Their second. Here is Goulet to Hunter. Hunter stick handles. Right side over to Picard. Pass slightly off the mark. He got his stick on it, but that's all. And it's cleared down inside the line. 2 former Washington Capital teammates, Picard and Ryan Walter, collided. All right, so Finn is out of the box, and Quebec now on a power play. The second minor being served by Lemieux. A drive by Muller, and Roy got just a piece of that, enough to deflect it wide. Seemed to react a bit slowly on that shot.
Because that was just a couple strides in over the blue line, and it made it very difficult for Waugh to come up with that save. And they should be easy from that range.
Risto Siltanen, apparently playing in his last NHL season, shoots it in. Would have been icing if Roy hadn't have touched it. Puck cleared behind the net. Goulet, Finn at the line, couldn't keep it in. It went out, back in again. In again, out again, Finn again, or something. And anyway, it's called offside. Sorry about that, Gary. Minute 45 left in the Lemieux penalty. Well, there is Michel Goulet. He has 13 goals in his last 14 games. So he has found the range this year for the first time in 5. He did not reach the 50 mark. He had 49.
Well, I asked Waugh if he has a book on any of the players in the National Hockey League, or specifically the Nordiques, and he says not really, but there are a few guys that I'm very aware of. One name that came up was Goulet, and it says along with Stastny, but he felt that Stastny was the real key to the hockey club, because not only can he score, but he's a tremendous passer and will set up a lot of goals.
Montreal leads 1-0 in the Bobby Smith goal. They are shorthanded right here. And Roy in a bit of trouble. Still has the puck. Backhands it. Siltanen a drive. And by this time, Roy is back in position at the outer rim of the goal crease. And calmly makes the glove grab, but he brought that problem upon himself. As we look at Mike McPhee, who had 4 goals against the Bruins in 4 games. 3 of them in 1 game. Interesting about McPhee, he has scored 22 goals this year, 17 of them on the road, only 5 at home.
That's the kind of player that you like to have, the guy that's going to produce on the road. Dick, Waugh seems very shaky in all aspects of the game, you know, clearing the puck, handling the puck, and right now is not doing a very good job around that crease.
Rick Green with it, 1:25 left in the penalty, out in front, deflected away from Anton Stastny. A drive wide, Brown let it go. Back it comes for Brown again. Feeds it to the front of the net. It's deflected by Peter. Stastny will call the brothers by the first name. It's so much easier when you're doing play-by-play. Carbonneau was dumped. Crowd reacted. Van Hellemond did not. Goulet to Peter Stastny. Behind the net to Siltanen now. Left point into Goulet. Out in front. Deflected away from Anton Stastny. It's loose outside. And Roy dives on the puck and hangs on as Chelios and Peter Stastny do some pushing.
Dick, I can understand why the Nordiques have such a good power play. If you notice, and I'm sure a lot of the television viewers, the motion they have, the players without the puck moving around in spots, and they are really demonstrating good puck control now and moving it around, trying to hit that open man.
53 seconds left on the Montreal penalty to Claude Lemieux. Here is the deflection by Roy with Anton Stastny coming in, and it went right back off Rick Green, and Roy then had to reach out and hang on. Game 2 in this series, Wednesday night. We'll be here, same time, same station.
Well, there's a guy that does it all for the Nordiques, Peter Stastny. Of course, during the regular season, he missed a lot of games because of injury, and Bergeron, Coach Bergeron, very happy to have him back. And he showed his worth by scoring that overtime goal to advance the Nordiques against the Canadiens.
Not exactly the tightest defensive game so far. 6-5 the shots, 11 shots in the first 8 minutes and 7 seconds, but there have been power plays. And right now, Quebec is on their second with 53 seconds remaining in the Lemieux penalty. He received a double minor, 4 minutes for high sticking. Puck is dropped. Skrudland won the draw. Craig Ludwig fires it, and it went off the glass, ricocheted out of play into the crowd. Let's not forget that the Montreal Canadiens are working on a 13-game winning streak. They are unbeaten in 14 games. Their last defeat, March 11th in Winnipeg. Trey Ludwig, a veteran performer now on the Canadiens' defense. Out there with Chelios. This time the Nordiques control the face-off. Brown to Ogrodnik, back to Brown with a shot, was going wide, I do believe. Noah reached out, and here is pushing and shoving now in front of the net. Basil McRae was tied up, and Brian Skrudland came in a bit after the fact and started to rough with McRae.
Like right now, the Canadiens are very impressive in their own zone. That time Ludwig was doing an excellent job of clearing the front of the net. So everything that the Nordiques have shot at Waugh, he's been able to see it. The dark blue jerseys just haven't been able to set anything up in front of the net.
See, here's McRae in the middle of all of this. We were checking before the game, and in the last 4 games, there were 3 fights, 3 or 4 in that area in games with these teams. There wasn't any brawling in the strictest sense of the word. McRae was involved every time, the only Nordique who was involved in anything in the way of fisticuffs through the last few games of the season between these teams. He came over, of course, from Detroit in the big trade. Now he's gone to the penalty box with Skrudland. Van Hellemond says, fellas, that's enough of that. Just a little too much fooling around after the fact, so they're gone for 2 to contemplate the situation. Canadians still playing shorthanded as this game kind of goes a bit into reverse here right now. 42 seconds left in the Lemieux penalty. 1-0 the score, Montreal leading.
Well, in the Washington Islander game, Van Hellemond just had to skate up and down the ice. Now he's making frequent trips to the penalty box area.
Skrudland, 10 minutes chacun de mauvaise conduite à 8 minutes 18 secondes. The penalties to Quebec number 17, Basil McRae. To the Canadiens, number 39, Brian Skrudland. A 10 minutes misconduct penalty to each of them at 8 minutes, 18 seconds.
So there you have it for that little tiff that they had, and they're seeming wanting to keep it going. Both McRae and Skrudland are gone for 10 minutes. Carbonneau checking on Brown into the Quebec zone. A shot off Siltonen, and that goes out of play over the glass. 13 seconds left in the Lemieux penalty. The organist playing Take Me Out to the ball game. A happy start for the Expos today as far as going into the new Olympic Stadium was concerned with the roof. A sad ending as the Phillies scored 4 times in the 9th inning and won the game 4-3.
I saw all the damage, Dick. I only saw the last inning, and there's 3 home runs, so
Carbonneau checking on Brown. He is so effective, Gary, forechecking, and of course one of the best penalty killers in the league.
Well, I think if you have conversation with players and who is normally responsible for the outcome of a hockey game, they'll always point the finger to the defensive player. And of course, Carbonneau fits that mold, not only as a checking line, but also in the defensive role, killing penalties. Very, very valuable for the Montreal team.
Mentioning streaks, the Canadiens unbeaten in 14, winning their last 13. Quebec with 4 straight wins in the Hartford series, the first time they reached that kind of a consecutive win streak all season. They did not win a game here in Montreal this year. The Canadiens went 4-0 against the Nordiques. Donnelly dumps the puck to the Montreal line. Rick Green knocks it away. Corson with it. Must have hit a Quebec player. It was gloved, but Van Hellemond waved it off. The penalty is over now. Lemieux came out of the box. Here comes Donnelly with a shot from well out. Roy the save. Green goes behind the net. He bumps with Cote. Now it's played into the corner. Nordiques Gillis out in front to the deep slot area. Couldn't find Donnelly with the pass. Donnelly a good play. Cote the shot. Roy the save. Canadians couldn't get control of the puck, and the Nordiques almost cashed in. L.A. Cote, number 19, always a key man for the Quebec team in games between these clubs. Here comes Huff with a deflection into the Canadian zone. Huff has got Goulet in front. Goulet scores! We've got a tie hockey game, 1-1. Michel Goulet. His 7th goal in the playoffs.
Well, Huff, not exactly a well-known name, Dick, and he makes a pretty good pass there as the coaching staff of the Montreal Canadiens wonder what happened. Where did all our players go? But it looks like Robinson has it set up perfectly. You notice that Naslund is a stride and a half behind Goulet. You can't be a stride and a half behind a guy like Goulet because he has such a good touch around the net and just directs it through the legs of Waugh, and we're tied. Good pass by Huff.
Avec l'aide du numéro 18, assisted by number 18, Mike Hoff, et le numéro 21, and number 21, Randy Muller. à 9 minutes 38 secondes at 9 minutes 38 seconds.
Muller's pass to Huff would have been offside, a two-line pass, but it hit a stick, a Canadian stick. That threw the play onside, and Quebec certainly took advantage of it. You don't give Mr. Goulet too many chances. He scores them one way or the other. That one were a deflection and a shot, but the game is tied 1-1. Goulet with 10 points in the playoffs now. He leads the Nordiques in that regard. Chelios in the corner. He's in trouble as Huff takes a run at him, and Huff's going to get a penalty. Hunter now slashes at Lemieux, and a little bit of ugliness starts making its appearance. I think they're going to go as well. The original call was on Huff for flattening Chelios against the boards in the Canadian zone. And linesman Leon Stickle and Kevin Collins, I believe we gave them official notification tonight. They are going to be busy. They have been already. We are just 8 seconds past the halfway point in this first period. The game is tied 1-1. The penalty timekeeper has been very busy.
I wonder, Dick, how long this is going to continue, because I certainly didn't figure that there'd be a steady parade to the penalty box. But there is the takeout by Chelios. The stick was up, and in comes Huff. Boy, he's just getting even for what happened to his teammate.
So we have penalties being called. The game is tied. It's 1-1.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
No trouble.
You know, Esso is giving our people special training to give you no-trouble service. And maybe...
Thanks for stopping by.
That's why we're getting a lot of customers we haven't seen before.
Well, Mike Huff has been involved in the play, as they say. Set up Michel Goulet with the game-tying goal, and then a few seconds later, he's off for charging. Penalties were not called on Messrs. Hunter and Lemieux. So the Canadians now, with their power play opportunity, have Smith, Lemieux, and Naslund up front, Gingras and Robinson at the points. Paul Gillis and Alain Cote killing the penalty for Quebec as the forwards, with Robert Picard and Randy Muller on defense. 1-1 the score.
Dick, both coaches felt that they would have to utilize 4 lines in every game with the steady parade of penalties. That certainly hasn't been possible up to this point.
McCrae and Scrudlin sitting out misconduct penalties. Robinson to Naslund. Into the Quebec zone. That's Naslund to Robinson. Naslund on the right side. In front, Lemieux pushes with Muller. Robinson at the basket away from him, and Montreal has to regroup in the center ice zone. Off the boards for Gingras. Canadians chasing it. Who gets to it first? Picard does. Good job there by Muller to steer Lemieux off course. Hunter takes over up front from Gillis.
Hey, Dick, a player will continue to do that, try the pick plays until the referee starts calling it. As long as he gets away with it and it works, why not employ it in your strategy of trying to win a hockey game?
Hunter checking on Robinson. Dale Hunter broke his leg in a game involving these two teams in late November. Just recently back to regular type form, which of course is good news for Quebec. Here is Smith trying to get away from Goulet. Bobby Smith doing a pretty good job of it. Sends Naslund in. He's got Gingras left side. Gingras shot. The save by Gosselin. Good play by the Canadians. Now Naslund. No, it's Smith. Naslund didn't pick it up. Reached for it. Smith took over. Lemieux in the corner. Back to Bobby Smith. A backhand to Naslund. 25 seconds left in the power play time. Gingras one times it, and it's blocked by Gillis. Montreal had control. Couldn't do anything with it. Gingras shot blocked defensively by Gillis. Now Naslund, a weak shot in, is blocked by Muller, and he shoots it down the ice with just 12 seconds left now in the Quebec penalty. Brian Waller, after a loose puck into the center ice zone, he's onside, picks it up, moves into Quebec territory. Cote pushes him off the puck, comes up with it, and clears it out as the penalty ends. Peter Svoboda on for the first time in the game. Svoboda at the blue line, into Stéphane Richer, and a drop pass. Nobody there for Montreal. And Chelios has to take over. I say first time in the game, maybe second. But with all of the penalties, Svoboda hasn't seen much in the way of action as the puck is flipped high by Rochefort, and it's down inside the Montreal line. 7.5 minutes to play, first period. Score is tied 1-1 here at the Montreal Forum.
Right now, Dick, the Nordiques are playing a very smart game. They're not getting caught. All the forwards are coming back to help out, and they're doing an excellent job defensively.
Stastny drops it off. Ogrodnik fed it in to Anton Stastny. Peter, a backhand pass, knocked away by Svoboda. Nyland, left side. Anton checking on him. Now here's a chance. Gainey over to Carbonneau. Gainey elected to pass. The pass was off the mark. Quebec comes back. Anton Stastny ahead to Ogrodnik. Flips it in. Peter and two Peters from Czechoslovakia. Stastny and Svoboda. Loose puck for Chris Nyland. And Gainey couldn't control it in center ice. And Muller shoots it right back again. Funny bounce off the corner glass. Rick Green was there for Montreal. Over to Carbonneau on the right side. Ahead to Nyland. Behind the net, Gosselin with it. Shoots it around on the glass. Carbonneau anticipated, stopped it. Has it to the side of the Quebec net. Gosselin played it in behind. Rochefort knocked down by Nyland. He's on top of the puck, and the whistle stops the play. 6:23 remaining. First period. Hockey Night in Canada returns in just a moment.
Right now, Jean Perron has got him away from him. He's up against Dale Hunter. We'll watch for that line matchup.
Huff at center ice, couldn't control Goulet's pass. Lemieux chases it. Rochefort, good job, bumps Lemieux. And the Canadiens yell there for interference. Lemieux hadn't touched the puck. Brown in his own zone. Ahead for Huff. Into the center ice zone. Walter intercepted, and here's Huff. Tied up by Smith. Ludwig now. You're right about Quebec. They're playing a very good controlled hockey game here right now.
Bergeron mentioned that they had to be very patient in their forechecking, not get in there helter-skelter and allow the Canadiens to utilize that transition play. Dick, we've seen so many times how quickly Montreal can move from defense to offense.
Peter Stastny and Claude Lemieux are having a little set too. Stastny had his helmet knocked off. And we get an icing call against Quebec as Van Helleman keeps his eye on Stastny and Lemieux. Live on CBC, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
They didn't come to play. They came to win. And while the faces have changed, the tradition hasn't. We feel the same way about Molson. The labels may change, but inside, where it counts, it's the same. A distinctive, satisfying taste. Nothing halfway about it. Inside, Molson says it all.
Peter Stastny has found his helmet, replaced it on his head, and is back into his own zone for this face-off.
Now, Dick, as this first period is coming to a close here, I certainly get the feeling that players in both teams, they really don't have a lot of respect or like each other at all. After every whistle, they come together and you see the players jawing at each other.
I don't know if the respect might be there, but the word like, yeah, that's pretty well said. They just don't. Stastny, left side. Orson deflected his pass, but Muller keeps it in. Anton Stastny turning. Over to Muller. Shot wide and weak. Now it comes back for McPhee. Muller pinched in on the play. Gingras for Montreal. Center ice area. Had trouble handling the puck as he stick handled to the line, and that threw the play offside. With McPhee in ahead of the play, in the opinion of Kevin Collins, and the non-opinion of many of the fans here at the Forum. As we mentioned, we haven't got the attendance figure. 18,072 is the norm when these teams play, which means, Gary, that's capacity. You can't get anybody else in the building. As we look at number 21, Randy Muller, he said at the start of the season he didn't want to play in Quebec anymore. He wanted to be traded. But they patched things up, and he is very happy and has played very well.
Well, Dick, what the Nordiques went through this year, they remind me of the old Oakland Athletics. Fighting with each other. Coach was upset, thought he might get fired, and it was just a lot of turmoil. But it's amazing when you win one series how things get turned around, and that's where the Nordiques are right now. It's one big happy family. So they say that winning certainly has an effect on a hockey club.
Takes the place of a lot of coaches' pep talks, I'll tell you. There's a pass off the mark into the Quebec zone, and Cordic taken out by Rochefort heavily. Puck kick free, cleared ahead for Gillis. Gillis stopped at the line by Gingras, and it's back out to center ice as Richer knocked Gillis to the ice. Gingras has to play it back for Chilios to let Richer get onside. Chris Chilios underway into the zone with a backhand off the stick of Brown. Chilios through the crease. Shot comes in from Cordic, grabbed high by Gosselin. And Mario Gosselin hangs on. Hockey night in Canada, a Canadian tradition.
Want to see what a Lotto 649 grand prize winner looks like? You know, winning all that money doesn't really change you. I mean, I'm still the same.
Canadians having to do some line juggling with Strudlin in the box, so Richer is out there now with McPhee and Naslund at center ice against Jason Lafreniere in his first playoff. The rookie, number 15 from the Belleville Juniors, and we got a false start in the circle to the left.
Dick, one thing Bergeron mentioned this morning, he said there seems to be a lot more pressure on the coaches when these two teams face each other than the players. Do you buy that?
Well, I think that's maybe, you know, knuckling under a bit to all of this media business that goes on when these teams play. Pressure on the coaches at all times. I think he may be overstating the fact a little bit. Don't worry, the guys on the ice feel it as well. Here comes McPhee breaking away 2-on-1. Siltanen back. Richer with him. A shot, the save, the rebound. Deflects right back to Gosselin off Picard. Canadians with a 2-on-1, a classic 2-on-1. Couldn't cash in. Richer after the puck behind the net now for McPhee. Out in front, Naslund has it. Naslund to Richer. Score! Well, Quebec got a defenseman. Picard was trapped off ice. They never did seem to recover after the rush was made.
Well, we talked about Peter Stastny, how well he's able to execute a pass and put it right on a stick. We had a pretty good demonstration of what Naslund can do, and sometimes you have to take a hit to make a play. You notice that McPhee, he took quite a jolt from Picard, was still able to dump the puck over to Naslund. Naslund hesitated, looked, where is the open man, hit Richer in the top corner. Boy, it took about 3 good plays in order to have a goal scored.
That gives the Canadians a 2-1 lead. They had a 1-0 edge on Smith's goal. Goulet tied it for Quebec. Here come the Nordiques again. Donnelly, a shot, didn't miss by much as he went for the far corner, but it's off the corner boards and back inside the Quebec line. Donnelly again feeds it into Montreal territory. Greg Ludwig is after it. He stops up, and on the left side, it's Ryan Walter. A pass to Stastny intercepted, and then his shot was blocked by Robinson. Smith to Robinson. Tried to set up Walter. It was deflected back out to center ice. Less than 3 minutes to play now in this opening period at the Montreal Forum. I think it's been a predictable type of a period, really. There's been some heavy hitting and some jawing and some unpleasantness as they feel one another out. Here's Peter Stastny into the goal crease. Great stop by Roy after a super play by Stastny. And there's going to be a penalty call on the play to Craig Ludwig. Boy, Stastny walked out of the corner, made a super play, and Roy the save. Ludwig draws the penalty. Nordiques will go on a power play here late in this first period. Craig Ludwig off for holding at 17:21.
Dick, the player has to make a split decision immediately, you know, change direction. Stastny does that exceptionally well, and I thought it was Waugh that dumped him and not Ludwig. There was a giveaway by the Nordiques. Gosselin, he had control. All he had to do was leave it there, but he ended up giving it back to Naslund, and later on that sequence eventually led to a goal.
So the Canadians shorthanded again. They lead the hockey game 2-1. Chelios with it for Montreal. He shoots it down the ice.
Well, we've talked about Siltanen trying to get that pass so he can one-time. It hasn't materialized yet tonight, Dick, and I think the Canadians are very aware of it too and are paying special attention to him.
Peter Stastny to Siltanen. Fake the shot. Picard with it now. Left side. Peter, he's got Anton in front, but he gives it to Picard. Peter Stastny again behind Ogrodnik off the boards, and Ogrodnik threw it behind him. Nobody there for Quebec. Picard and the Nordiques have to regroup in the center right zone. Siltanen with 8 assists in the series with Hartford. Offside, Quebec. Anton Stastny in ahead of the play. So we've got a 2-1 hockey game here. The Canadiens lead Quebec. And we have another NHL update with Brian.
Well, the New York Islanders must feel like they're skating through one giant sandbox at the Spectrum tonight. Kerr has scored twice in the first period. Here comes Don Knackbauer, who screens. The shot is screened as Rudy couldn't see it. And the Flyers hold a 3-0 lead over the Islanders. Still time to play first period.
Never liked to coach from the broadcast booth, but may I ask a question? You don't have to answer it. Why isn't Billy Smith playing tonight? 75 shots.
I would have put him in. Remember, you only have to win one in the opposition building.
Quebec into the Canadiens zone. Hunter in front of Lafreniere, and his flip shot went wide. Goulet hauled down Chelios, and he's going to draw a penalty. Meanwhile, McPhee up at the Quebec line. He's tied up. Brown touches the puck. The whistle goes. The Nordiques lose their advantage with 41 seconds remaining in the Montreal penalty to Ludwig. The misconduct penalties to McRae and Skrudlin had ended. And Michel Bergeron looks on as his top sniper, Michel Goulet, goes to the box. And the teams will play 5-a-side for the next 41 seconds.
Now, that really hurts, Dick, when you take a penalty in the offensive zone, when you have the power play. And again, Michel Goulet will probably say, well, it was accidental. It just happened to have that stick there. But he's shaking his head. See if we can pick it up. Gets tangled up in Chelios' skates. So in 41 seconds, Montreal will enjoy an advantage. But getting back to that game with Rudy again going in, you know, when you play that length of time for goaltender and your equipment is so heavy and you're on such an emotional high, that would have probably been the best time to throw Billy Smith in there, let Rudy unwind, because there certainly wasn't much time to do that, was there, Dick?
Gary, we don't coach from the broadcast booth. Remember that. Terry Simpson can't hear us.
What do they call that? Backseat quarterbacks, or
yeah, armchair
quarterbacks.
So they are 5-a-side right here. Nearing the final minute of play in this first period. Richer knocks a pass down, then it's cleared back out to center ice. Svoboda to Chelios to Naslund. He's knocked off stride by Muller. Here's Richer following in. Richer turned around by Finn, picks it up again. Richer to Naslund, a quick shot, and Gosselin with a good glove save. He got the glove on it. It deflected just wide, but I'll tell you, Naslund seemed to have that top shelf picked out perfectly.
And you notice the shot, it was just a little quick wrist shot.
So the Quebec team called for icing. 1 second left in the Ludwig penalty. The Canadiens will have a power play for the final 39 seconds of this opening period, all things being equal, and they don't draw a penalty themselves.
Now here's a little drop pass, and watch how quickly Naslund gets rid of that. That's your snapshot. Just moved that stick back about 6 inches and had some good wood on it. Gosselin again showed his quickness. Dick, I think this first period will establish the fact that that layoff didn't really hurt Montreal. You know, the whole team had a day off on Sunday, an optional practice on Monday. And then talking to Ryan Walter this morning, he said, boy, we had some very tough practices. Lemieux mentioned that I know they were tough because I didn't gain any weight during the week. He's trying to tell me he loves dessert.
Yes, he's paid the price a little bit, sat out once upon a time in his career for being a little overweight. Here's a face-off to the left of Gosselin. It's dropped, and the Canadiens now have a power play. As Lemieux comes on, Ludwig goes to the bench. It's Naslund to Robinson. A drive, deflection. Cote tied up by Bobby Smith. Lemieux bumped by Picard, who is very aggressive for Quebec tonight. Now it's Naslund. Naslund into Smith in close. Good play by Gosselin. Poke check the puck away. A drive by Gingras wide. Smith to Gingras. Another shot. Just wide through the traffic. We couldn't see it. It came out the other side. Here's Bobby Smith to Robinson. Back to Naslund. 4 seconds left in the period. The crowd yells, shoot. He does. The save is made. The siren goes. So a lot of action in the Quebec zone on the Canadiens' power play, but Gosselin and the Nordiques hang on. Do you agree with what I said? That's the kind of a period we perhaps should have expected from these two teams.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of high intensity. The emotions are high, and all the crowd here is standing enjoying every single minute here in this first period.
Shots on goal were even, 11 for both teams, and so the score at the end of the first period. The Montreal Canadiens 2, the Quebec Nordiques 1.
Today's weather brought to you by Michelin. Bright, sunny, and reasonably warm this morning with partial clouds developing by midday. This afternoon, scattered showers with the chance of severe thunderstorms and local flooding. The barometer is falling fast. Watch for the possibility of snow turning to freezing rain later this evening. So don't leave the house without your trusty raincoat and boots. And
First period over here at the Montreal Forum. Montreal holding a 2-1 lead over Quebec. And while the fans always love these Quebec-Montreal matchups, I wonder how the players feel. Let's ask Michel Goulet. Do the players look forward to a series with Montreal, or is it something they'd rather avoid?
Yeah, well, all the times, most of the time is, you know, pretty good hockey. And, you know, it's the fourth time we met, and usually it's pretty good hockey games. And the fans like it, and sometimes the player like it. But some, you know, some games they're very tough on in the pressure too. But you know, it's hockey, and we have to play it.
It's quite a bitter rivalry. Is it easy to dislike the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, you know, it's kind of a rivalry, and the last 8 years, every time we play against each other, it's kind of a war up there. And you know, we try our best. I think we do pretty well lately, and hopefully we're going to win that series.
If this series turns mean, as some people say it might, what's your reaction to that? If it gets down and nasty?
Well, you get a little bit nasty sometimes. You know, like, you know, you come here and you know you want to win. It's that forum. You know, we know all the dynasty you have in the past, and you want to win at the Forum, and you want to beat the Canadian. You know, that's why, you know, like me, I want to beat them.
We should congratulate you on your series victory over Hartford. I think it was quite an upset in the minds of most, but something happened to the Quebec Nordiques, something that turned that club around from 4 to 6 weeks ago. What was it?
We were playing pretty good hockey the last month before the playoff, and, you know, Dale Hunter is back, and Peter Stastny is back healthy. We know we missed those guys for a couple of months during the year, and, you know, you can lose a guy like that for, you know, 2 or 3 months. So everybody's healthy now, and you know, we play very strong hockey defensively and offensively, and you know, against Hartford we played pretty good hockey game in the first 2 games in Hartford, and we came back at the Colisée and we were playing very well.
Well, John O'Grodnik must have decided that you fellas aren't so bad people to play with after all, because his game has really improved.
Oh yeah, Johnny scored some big goals for us, and we know how good he is around the net, and you know, against Hartford he had a hat trick there, and he had 5 goals during the series, and very key goals too.
In a few seconds, who's the best young player on the Nordiques?
Well, I can say Jason Lafreniere is doing pretty well. You know, his first year, and Jeff Brown, and you know, we have a couple of good, you know, players, and they're coming, especially Jason Lafreniere.
It's a little warm in here. We better let you go, huh?
Yeah, it is warm.
Michel Goulet, thanks for joining us in the intermission. Montreal leading 2-1 the Stanley Cup playoffs. On CBC Return in just a moment.
Brought to you by Tremco, makers of Tremflad, Canada's #1 rust paint.
Well, the coach is back. He's been traveling a lot lately. He's tired when he's mean and tired and irritable.
Well, wait a minute. I want to interrupt you with this.
You always do.
What's this mean stuff we're talking about? Are we talking about tough hockey or mean stuff like that? That's why the interest is so on this series, more so than any series we'll ever have, is because it's good, tough, physical hockey, not mean hockey.
Oh, well, who better to define it than
Absolutely.
Don Cherry? All right, your comments so far on what you've seen.
Well, I see they have a plan with Kordic and Nyland right off the bat. They've told them before, they know the referees are going to be after you. Turn away, back down, skate away, and so far they're doing it. The guys like Bobby Smith are getting the penalties now. Smart play, because you know Von Hellman wanted to get those guys off right away. By the way, Michel Mobel Bergeron said that he hopes nothing ever happens again. Remember a couple of years ago on Good Friday, they had the riot and the brawl and all that stuff. And he hopes it never happens again here in Quebec. It's okay in Alberta, but he doesn't want it to happen here again in Quebec.
Oh, they'll love you out there for that.
Yes.
All right, how about Goulet and Hunter and some of these stars with Quebec?
Let me tell you about Dale Hunter. Dale Hunter, to me, hasn't been much in the scoring and stuff like that, but you got to go out there and watch this guy. This guy is the heart and soul of this team. You know, when they needed that great pass to Stastny for the win in Hartford, who did it but Hunter? This guy's got screws in his leg. I was talking to his dad, Dick, in Toronto. The leg is still hurting, still bothering him. A normal human being wouldn't even have thought of come back. I had a broken ankle, and I had pins in it and stuff like that, and I know what it's like to skate on it. He's come back and still playing, and I'll tell you, he's the heart and soul. I love that guy.
I'm impressed with Andy Van Helleman tonight coming off that marathon game in Washington. But you were there as well. You look fresh as a daisy.
Well, I was there. I had a good rest, and I come back here. I'll tell you the truth. I was looking forward to coming here. I was there. It was a good game. It was a long game. Everybody, it was a great game. It was all right. A lot of saves.
Oh, it was a great game.
It was all right. I love this type of hockey. Adams-type hockey, to me, was great. They shouldn't even been in it. The Islanders, Ridley stood on his head. It was one of those games, 70-some shots. He shouldn't even have been there. I went into Brian Murray's office after, and Dave, what's his, the general manager? Come on, you're smart.
David Poyle.
David Poyle. Sorry, David, I forgot it. It was like somebody died in the room, I'm telling you, and I feel sorry for those guys, and they're talking about Brian Murray being fired. He's a good coach, and he should be there, but this is hockey, folks. You're seeing real hockey here tonight.
And you're alive and well and with us tonight, and we appreciate it, and that's another edition of our Playoff Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner with Don Cherry has been brought to you by Tremco, makers of Valspar Superthane and a complete line of wood care products.
Here at the Montreal Forum, first period over, Montreal leading Quebec 2-1 in the first game of this Adams Division Final Series. Well, I've been following the other game as well tonight, the New York Islanders playing at Philadelphia. I mentioned how tough it has been for the Islanders coming off that thrilling victory over Washington the other night and then being extremely tired in their matchup with the Flyers. There's the goal by Tim Kerr, who has a pair of them tonight. And we're watching highlights now from the first period. And the Flyers score again. Tim Kerr has his 20th and his 21st career playoff goals against Kelly Hrudey. And he's the 6th playoff goal for Tim Kerr. And there's action at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Knackbauer got the 3rd Flyer goal coming in from the right side. Here he comes, 42. And through a screen, he beats Kelly Hrudey. So the Flyers have quite a sizable lead over the visiting Islanders in the first game of their Patrick Division Final Series tonight at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. We're going to take a look at the other matchups now around the NHL in the playoffs. And, of course, there are 8 teams left and a lot to be decided yet as we move along. And Hockey Night in Canada returns in just a moment. Division Final Series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques, Wednesday night from the Forum in Montreal. One of hockey's greatest rivalries continues as Hockey Night in Canada brings you the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Teams all set to start the second period of this first game of the Adams Division Final. 2-1 the score. Montreal leading, and goals by Bobby Smith at 4:27 and Stéphane Richer at 16:17 with Michel Goulet in between with Quebec's only goal at 9:38. Shots on goal were even. Patrick Roy and Mario Gosselin each facing 11. And as the period begins, Goulet is in the penalty box. He has 40 seconds to serve on a tripping penalty called late in the first period. So the Canadiens, a man to the good as Gingras fires the puck in the area to our right, being defended by the Nordiques. It comes loose for Smith. Smith in the corner, back for Naslund. It's shot behind the net. Randy Muller all by himself there for the Nordiques, and he fires it down the ice.
Dick, in that first period, each team was credited with 4 scoring chances.
Now, there's one Bobby Smith thought he might have had. He was offside.
You know, some of the statistics that coaches or the assistant coaches keep, we're going to pass them on to you. And so the scoring chances were even at 4. The giveaways, Montreal had 5, Quebec 4. Hits were 7-6 in favor of Montreal. And in an important area, face-offs. Montreal won 10, they lost 13. So you can see that the stats are very close.
Bobby Smith, the goal scorer for Montreal, the only member of the Canadiens to play in all 80 games this year. L.A. Cote was in that department for the Nordiques. Hunter and Huff up front. Comes loose for Robinson. To Lemieux into the zone. Good play by Picard. And he dumps it back out to center ice. 5 seconds left in the Goulet penalty. Cross now for Gingras. It's batted out of the air by Muller, and Gosselin plays it to the corner as Goulet is out of the box, gets a lead pass, and if he'd handled it correctly, he could have been in alone, Gary, on that right side. You saw his reaction. When it went off his stick, he just slammed his stick on the ice. He was upset with himself. Now here's Hunter trying to center it. Can't against Robinson. Gingras checked by Goulet. Hunter, over a quick shot by Huff, knocked out of the air by Robinson. It's loose at the side, cleared to the boards. Close call.
Boy, good eye stick coordination, because that puck looked like it was going in the middle of the net, and Robinson batted it right out of the air.
Good forechecking that time by Goulet. I thought that he set Robinson back on his heels a bit there, and that's what started the whole play. Puck drilled around the boards and then hit the side of the net. And it's called icing against the Nordiques as Chelios stops it in the Canadian zone. From the Montreal Forum, the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC.
My brother-in-law, the hotshot, walks around in his $300 suits. Thinks he's really something. Me, I shop at Dorian Suits. I pay half as much, and I look better than him. You'll never learn.
My neighbor likes to brag how much he spends on his clothes. But I don't care. I spend half as much at Dorian Suits. And you know what? I look better than he does.
Dorian Suits makes you look better than your neighbor at half the cost. Unless your neighbor shops at Dorian Suits.
Braun wants, he'd like to have Carbonneau against Stastny. And that's the lineup he's got out there right now.
Chelios' shot was blocked. Anton Stastny with McRae. Quick shot, he scores! Anton Stastny! And Patrick Wall looks to the post and says, where was the room? But there was enough for the puck. And the Nordiques have come back to tie it for the second time. It's 2-2 on Anton Stastny's first goal of the playoffs.
Well, it didn't help that time, Dick, having that matchup up, but it happened right off the face-off where the Nordiques gain control. Keep an eye on Waugh. He commits himself. He's going down to his knees, and Anton whips it high in the post. Now, the angle was there. All he had to do was stand there. Look at him going down. Wrong time. Just a bad judgment by Patrick Waugh in that place.
So it's a tie game again. 1:31, the time of the goal. McRae on the assist. And the Nordiques come right back. Peter trying to set up Anton. It was blocked. And it's off the corner and down inside the Quebec line. Stephen Finn had trouble, lost his balance. Puck ended up going through the crease. But he hung on to. We got a penalty call against the Canadiens behind the play, and that is a bad penalty, to be sure, in the offensive zone, and one that really wasn't having all that much to do with the play, if you ask me, live on CBC. Hockey night in Canada.
Canadiens penalty number 30, Chris Nyland. 2 minutes for high sticking and 2 minutes for cross-checking. At 2 minutes, 3 seconds.
Two minor penalties called on Chris Nyland. One for high sticking, and the other, the replay quit before you could see why. You saw the high sticking call. The second one was for cross-checking. Boy, you don't see that happen too often, do you, Gary?
You're
with
right,
two
Dick.
calls for two different types of infractions.
Well, we caught it on the next replay, the cross-checking penalty. So what a glorious opportunity for the Nordiques. And even though they haven't scored in the power play, Dick, I feel that they're really moving that puck around and a lot of good motion. So let's see if they can capitalize here.
Carbonneau at center ice. Carbonneau and Gainey. Here's Gainey one-on-one against Picard. Quick shot. Gosselin makes the save. Gainey's let that one go. Ogrodnik, center ice. Weak shot to the line. Didn't get good wood on it. Rick Green blocked it, and he clears it down the ice. Shots on goal in the game are even, 13-13. The scoreboard is even at 2-2, but the manpower is not. Quebec with a 4-man advantage. They're working on that right here. The second time Canadians have had 4 minutes called by Van Hellemond. Now it's back at the point for Finn. A weak shot, knocked down by Chelios and almost into his own net. Skrudlin wraps it down the ice.
Well, when that puck comes back to Finn, you know, he's not used to one-timing it. Siddleton is probably the best at that. He's got to stop it because he's got plenty of time and then let the shot go.
Risto Siltanen from the center ice area drills it around the glass. Frenier there against Chelios. Now Skrudlin bumped by Goulet. Anton and Chelios come together. Green makes a move in the corner, runs into Anton Stastny. Lafreniere gets it back to Finn. Cross ice pass for Siltanen. A shot off McPhee's stick, bounces deep in the zone, comes loose again, and Rick Green elects to carry the puck. Ahead to Mike McPhee, 2-on-2 with Skrudlin. Over to Brian Skrudlin, but the pass at the line was offside, and the whistle stops the play. Now we have another Hockey Night Can't update with Brian.
Well, the Islanders know how dangerous Tim Kerr can be in this hockey game. He scored twice, and now look at the room he has off in front of the net. There's the puck off the goaltender right onto Kerr's stick, and it's in to make it 4-0. And then, this is early in the second period, the Islanders finally get the puck behind Hextall on this shot by Thomas Jansson, upper corner, and it's a 4-1 hockey game. The Flyers still in front.
Well, that was the first goal on Hextall in a while. He blanked the New York Rangers in their series clinching game in the first round. Peter Stastny and Carbonneau on the face-off. Gainey being bothered by Anton Stastny. Quebec with a power play. 2:22 left now, and the double minor being served by Chris Nyland. So deuces are wild because it's 2-2 on the scoreboard. And the Canadiens shoot the puck down the ice. Quebec has not had a shot through the first part of this penalty, as the first 2 minutes is almost over.
And the important thing about the first 2 minutes, Dick, is that the Canadiens won the battles along the boards. They just out-muscled the Nordiques for the puck.
Chelios off the board with a weak shot. Anton Stastny keeps it in. Chelios then took it away from him, and Carbonneau shoots it down the ice. I agree with you in your assessment, Gary, of Patrick Roy. Tonight he has just made some moves, unlike he was doing in the Boston series, just a little tentative on his part. Picard to the line with Peter Stastny. Off his stick, Chelios wraps the puck by Ogrodnik and down the ice again. 1:35 left now in the Nyland penalty tie.
Well, Dick, when you get a 4-minute advantage, that's when you really have to put out. And right now the Nordiques, they just seem to be going through the motions and not really getting anything going.
Peter Stastny to Michel Goulet. Back to Stastny in the corner. They fall. Jam. McPhee knocked it loose, but they don't clear the zone. Finn shot knocked down by McPhee. Rick Green drills it off the boards. Past Brown and down the ice. Skrudlin after it. Gosselin out of the net. He shoots it around the dasher board. And Brown for Quebec goes back into his own zone with 1 minute left now in the Nyland penalty. Hunter can't handle the pass at center ice, and Rick Green shoots it right back down the ice again.
Sometimes Bergeron, he might say to himself, my goodness, I got all my scorers out there. Maybe I'll just send that 4th unit out there and get something going, because right now the Nordiques are very ineffective in this power play.
Hunter's blocked by Carbonneau. Fans begin to respond here as the Canadiens do a pretty good number on the Nordiques up to now anyway. Still 30 seconds left, and here comes Goulet, always dangerous. Into the zone to Ogrodnik. Picard, weak shot, grabbed by Carbonneau, and he shoots it down the ice. Siltanen goes behind his net. Carbonneau leaves, Skrudlin comes on. Siltanen to Ogrodnik. Left side, drops it off, Risto Siltanen. Cross-ice pass, Picard with a drive, and it deflects in front. Grabbed by Gainey. Ahead, Chelios. The penalty is over. Nyland out of the box, so the Canadiens didn't allow the Nordiques a shot. Here's Green working in. He had only 1 goal all year. Look how deep he was. I don't see that too often. I'm always surprised whenever Rick Green gets that close to the opposition net.
That should be quite a lift for the Montreal Canadiens, allowing only 1 shot on net during that 4-minute advantage.
McPhee along the boards. Puck knocked free. It's cleared ahead for Cote. Cote to Gillis. He's stopped by Naslund, but following up is Normand Rochefort, who drills it around behind the net. Skrudlin on the far side. Naslund bumped by Donnelly, and the puck comes out into the center ice area for Rochefort. Over to Muller. 2-2 the score. 6:45 gone, second period.
Dick, I guess the Nordiques didn't get credit for 1 shot, but Wall actually deflected one into the corner that was on the net. So we'll have to say 0 shots allowed.
According to the board, they didn't move at all. It was 13-13 when the power play began. Here's a chance for Waller with a drive. And Gosselin made the save. Another chance in front, and again Gosselin off Walter. Back for Robinson. A shot deflects. Penalty coming up to Quebec right here. Waller trying to reach it, can't do it. The whistle goes, and the Canadiens will now go on a power play. Van Helleman with a long delay against the Nordiques. And then he makes the penalty call. So Montreal about to skate 1 man to the good, but the score tied 2-2. Veteran defenseman Normand Rochefort is penalized here at 7:12. High sticking is the call. So Montreal will go on the power play. Quebec just squandered a 4-minute opportunity as we look at Rochefort in his 7th NHL season. Played junior at Trois-Rivières when Michel Bergeron was the junior coach in Trois-Rivières. There it is in front of the net, just to the left of your screen at the edge of the circle. All right, Montreal with Smith, Naslund, Walter, Robinson, and Gingras. Gillis on the face-off. Up there with Cote, Muller, and Picard, and the Nordiques controlling and shot down the ice.
Now let's see if the Canadiens can do a lot better job than the Nordiques in their advantage. And again, the key is getting somebody in front of the net and let your power play develop from your point man.
Ryan Walter. Drop pass. Smith just barely reached it. It goes in behind the net. Naslund comes up with it. Tries to work his way out of traffic. Naslund back to Robinson. Gingras. Flip shot goes. Play for Montreal to Gingras. Bobby Smith. In front to Naslund. Naslund to Gingras. Good checking here by Quebec. They can't get anybody free. They're on the outside. Naslund has to turn away from Picard. Back to Gingras. Over to Naslund on the left side. Back to Gingras. A shot. Ricochets wide of the net. Now it's Smith to Larry Robinson. Robinson, a pass right on the stick of Cote, and he just failed to send Gillis into the clear at center ice. Now it's Naslund into Bobby Smith with a little bit of room, then drops it off. Robinson a drive, and that went off Cote. Bobby Smith being checked by Picard. Robinson across for Gingras. Gingras turning against Cote's checking. Now he plays it on the backhand around the corner. Muller knocks Walter off stride, but Naslund comes up with the puck. 30 seconds left in the penalty time. Gingras drive. It's loose in front. In the crease. Gosselin hangs on, and the whistle stops the play.
Well, that's one of the reasons that Gingras in the lineup is because of his shot from the point. And that was well executed by the Canadiens. Just keep moving around until you get the puck to Gingras. Has the time to shoot it low. Boy, right along the ice, Dick, and that spells a lot of trouble getting the men in front of the net. Look at the crowd. Walter again there deflects it, but right into Gosselin. But excellent play.
27 seconds remain on the Rochefort penalty. 11:15 remain here in the second period of a 2-2 tie. The Canadiens and the Nordiques, game one of what could be a long series in the Adams Division Final.
You notice that Walter had established a good position, but once he had deflected, he took quite a beating from behind. And the guys that get in front, they can certainly expect that.
Guy Lapointe to the left of your screen, a longtime Canadian stalwart defenseman, a member of the Stanley Cup winning teams of the 70s. Halfway through this season, Guy left his executive post in junior hockey here in Montreal and returned to the assistant coaching job in Quebec that he had a couple of years ago. 27 seconds left in the Canadiens' power play time. Face-off to the left of Gosselin. Lemieux gets it to Richer. Over to Gingras. Shot in front, and Lemieux cutting in front. Couldn't make contact with the puck. Nyland was dumped on the play. The crowd yells. 15 seconds to go. Gingras to Robinson. One last gasp rush here for Montreal on the power play. Ahead for Gingras to Richer, making moves. Stopped at the line by Finn. Gillis, he's all alone to the Canadiens' blue line. Checked from behind by Gingras, but the penalty is over and Rochefort leaves the box. 2-2 the score. Both teams coming up short here in the second period on power play opportunities. The Canadiens had 3 shots on that power play try. Nordiques dumped the puck out to center ice. Robinson with it. Robinson to Craig Ludwig. Ludwig with 10.5 minutes left in the period. To Naslund, blocked in front by Picard. He shovels it ahead. Gillis to Huff. Mike Huff into the zone. Naslund falls down. Huff in front. Deflection. Loose in the crease. The Nordiques put their sticks up, but the puck didn't go in, and the Canadiens bring it back. Claude Lemieux working into the zone. A quick shot grabbed wide of the net by Gosselin, and he hangs on for a face-off, and Quebec thought they had one there on a deflection. But it's still a 2-2 tie.
In the world of business, there are
The net, and on top of the net is the water bottle that both goaltenders have on the net. Here is a 2-on-1 as Naslund falls down, and Watt did get his pad on it. Hupp, he had his hands in the air, and Lambert was right there looking for a rebound. Boy, that looked awfully close. Whew.
Carson and Hunter, a couple of feisty characters, a veteran and a rookie. And Shane Corson, youngest player of the Canadiens, number 27, is invited to leave. He does. Naslund takes over, and Hunter wins the draw. Rochefort behind the net, far side. John Kordick out there, couldn't do anything with the puck, and it's at center ice where Ludwig hands it back into the neutral zone. Quebec side of the red line. Rochefort to Brown, and it's down into the Canadiens' end. Chilios swings around behind the net. Chilios is stopped up along the boards by Lane Lambert. Here's Lambert, another former Red Wing. Works his way, passes it across. Brown tried to knock it down, lets a shot go. Roy save on the short side. Puck pops high into the corner. Dale Hunter, and he's flattened by John Kordick. Shot blocked by Ludwig. Brown keeps it in at the line. Now it's Corson who dumps the puck on a backhand behind the net. Kordick again. This time he's knocked flat by Dale Hunter.
That's the old give and take in the game. Hunter took quite a shot by Kordick, and it didn't take him very long to give it back.
Goulet dumps the puck inside the Canadian zone. Green is after it. 2-2 the score. 9:09 remaining. Second period, and the puck pops out of play over the glass and into the seats in behind the penalty box area. This program is copyrighted and restricted for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition, in whole or in part, without the consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, is strictly prohibited.
Well, Dick, while you were going through that, Kordick had a few words. I don't know if it was encouragement to number 17, Basil McRae, but they had some conversation. Wow. When you see that, you're glad you're upstairs.
That was part one. Now, as you mentioned, here is part two. You get me, I'll get you. Now we've got McRae and Nyland, cheek to cheek, at the rim of the center ice circle, and the fans now realize what's going on.
Dick, when you look at those two individuals, look at their face, you would think that they should be in the choir, but once they lace on the skates and face each other, it's a different situation.
Carbonneau along the boards. Nyland plays it behind the net. Maybe they do sing in the choir. Let's get our researchers on that. Gainey behind the net for Carbonneau. Couldn't control it. Nyland took a hit at rookie Finn. Now it's Carbonneau behind the net. Finn came right back and knocked Nyland down. Carbonneau to Green. A drive right on. The rebound, and Gosselin stopped Gainey. Bang, bang at the goal crease, and Mario Gosselin came up big. Peter Stastny into the Canadian zone against Svoboda. Stastny swings wide. Roy out of the net, loses his balance. Anton Stastny rolls it wide, and McRae scores. Patrick Roy not ever regained his balance, and look out. Finn took a run at Nyland, who was lying on the ice. But what really counts here is the Nordiques have taken the lead for the first time tonight. McRae and Nyland want to go.
That's one way of getting even as far as McRae is concerned by scoring a goal. He's just out there as an instigator and the so-called policeman role. But, you know, there was a good rush by Stastny. You know, he was in speed, full stride ahead, was able to make a move. Now, there's no sense shooting it. Nobody to give it to. Now he sees somebody out in front, and as you mentioned, Dick, Roy is down and out, scrambling all over the place, has absolutely no chance. So you see the importance of a goaltender having good balance, and I think Basil McRae may have made contact with Roy to knock him on the seat of his pants just prior to the goal being scored.
Now we'll see why the Nordiques seem to be upset with Chris Nyland. Right there, his stick broke. Finn went after him. This is what I noticed. The puck had got in the net. Then I noticed Finn going after Nyland when he was lying on the ice. In any event, nothing comes of all of that. The bottom line is Basil McRae has scored. That's his first playoff point. He was no goals, no assists, and 50 minutes in penalties in the Hartford series. He's got a goal right here, and it's a big one. Quebec leading by a score of 3-2.
There was a conversation with Captain Gainey and Moeller by Andy Van Hellemond, and I think that he's saying to the guys, hey, this game is getting out of hand with all the stick work that's going on. You better settle down, or there's going to be more penalties called.
Basil McRae has been in on both Quebec goals in this period. He drew an assist on the Anton Stastny goal at 1:31. This is the Nyland Finn check. And then McRae scores from Anton and Peter at 11:45. That's the scoring play. And Quebec takes the lead 3-2. We're in the second period. I'm Dick Irvin with Gary Dornhofer, Brian McFarland, Don Cherry, as we bring you Hockey Night in Canada's presentation of Game 1 of the Adams Division Final. McRae behind the Canadiens' net. Works it to the side. Quebec comes right back, and they are controlling the hockey game right here. There is no doubt about that. Now it's Naslund. Canadians need to do something here to get back onto the track. Naslund over to Robinson. Here's a chance for Strudlin, and the save by Gosselin. That was a good rush. They did it all right to get back on the track. And we've got a penalty call as Naslund is dumped, and after the fact, we get more pushing, shoving, high sticking, and this thing's starting to look a little ugly. Gary, there's been a whistle now in quite some time that hasn't produced this sort of thing.
It's an unfortunate incident for the Nordiques because they're breaking away 2-on-1 there, Dick, and I didn't see the play behind the Quebec blue line. I was watching the play move ahead. But there will be penalties.
Tonight's game is coming to you from the Montreal Forum.
Game 2 of this Adams Division Final Series between Montreal and Quebec Wednesday night from Montreal as Hockey Night in Canada brings you the Stanley Cup playoff.
Peter Stastny was an outstanding international hockey star before he defected from Czechoslovakia to Canada. He's an outstanding NHL star. We look at that last sequence of events, Gary, starting with the Strudlin shot.
Well, right now the Nordiques are getting excellent goaltending from Gosselin. There was another example, and now the Nordiques were moving up the ice. To the left of your screen, you see the collision with Stastny drawing the penalty.
Quebec has Gillis and Cote up front, Moeller and Picard on defense. Their penalty killing against Hartford was one of the strong points of their game.
I think the way this game is going, I think the penalty killers are going to earn their pay tonight.
Canadians move into the zone. It's Smith. Taking a look now to Naslund. Gingras. Bad, weak shot. Didn't get good wood on it. Naslund takes over again to Bobby Smith with a drive. They score! Claude Lemieux, it's tied 3-3.
Well, there's a happy Lemieux as the Montreal Canadiens work the puck around. And there's the ideal situation by putting the pass to the man in the slot. Smith one-times it. Now the job isn't over. Where's that second man? Is he cruising at the net? You betcha. There's number 32, Lemieux, puts in the rebound. So that second man always has to converge at that net. Picard really doesn't do a good job of tying him up. Allows him to shoot the puck in the open net.
Assisted by number 15, Bobby Smith.
Here comes Michel Goulet with a drive, and Patrick Roy has to make a big save for Montreal. The Nordiques came right back. Lemieux working against Rochefort. Puck rolls through. Gosselin plays it off the board. Ryan Waller to Bobby Smith. In front, comes right back for Chelios. A drive just misses as he went for the open corner. Ludwig into the corner for Smith. Lemieux has it behind the net. Now it's Smith. Tries to set up Ryan Waller. The puck rolls to the side of the goal area. Gosselin reaches down and he hangs on. So you had the goal scored by Lemieux. Smith and Naslund on the assist at 12:40. A power play for Montreal right after the Stastny penalty. It's 3-3.
Well, this game is really heating up. More so every minute. But as I see Bobby Smith operate, boy, you have a new respect for him. How he doesn't panic, always waiting until he hits the right man. This is certainly screened, and boy, did that just miss by inches. So that go-ahead goal by the Nordiques got the Canadians going. They've tied it up on the power play and now continue to mount some good pressure.
And a reminder, the Canadians had a 5-3 edge in the regular season in games between these teams. Claude Lemieux last year in the playoffs, a scoring hero for the Canadians, brought up late in the series, 10 goals. Now he has 2 this year. Ludwig a drive. He scored! Greg Ludwig's first ever Stanley Cup playoff goal. It's 4-3 Canadians.
Dick Perron mentioned this morning the guy that he wants taking the faceoffs is Carbonneau. He's his best, and he draws this one absolutely cleanly. You notice that the checkers haven't even got time to react and get out there, And Ludwig one times it with a devastating slap shot, and the Canadiens have drawn the lead.
Nordiques come back.
And they are assisted by number 21, Guy Carbonneau.
Anton Stastny. A shot by Brown, grabbed by Noir. He plays it ahead for Nyland. 13-18, the time of the Ludwig goal from Carbonneau. Gainey into the zone. Bumped by Brown. Carbonneau tries to center it. Can't get it through to Nyland, who now has it in the corner. Nyland takes a hit from Peter Stastny. Nyland in front, reaches it. Tries to get a shot away. Can't do it. Chris Nyland. Now it's Gainey. Checked by Rochefort. Gainey reaches it again to Carbonneau. In front, Nyland. Oh, what a stop by Gosselin. Another play right at the goal crease, and the young Quebec goaltender came up very large. Svoboda ahead. Corson from the blue line area. Gosselin turns that away. Lane Lambert ahead. Jason Lafreniere to John Ogrodnik on the left side against Larry Robinson. They tie one another up. Puck behind the net. Corson checking. Lafreniere, two rookies in the corner. Svoboda tries to dig the puck loose. Does. Now he's bumped out of the play. It's picked up by Lambert. Lambert stopped by Larry Robinson. Loose puck to Richer. Kordic back to Stéphane Richer. Working against Siltanen. Trying to get through. All down on the play. Puck is cleared. Nordiques bring it back. Oh, Grodnik can't get anywhere against Robinson. Suddenly it's picked up. What did I say about winding down there again? Here's Richer. Trying to get around Siltanen again. Can't get a shot away. The Canadiens begin to take over here. The two quick goals did it for them after Quebec had a fine start to this second period and had taken a 3-2 lead. It's now 4-3 Montreal. And hang on, we have got penalties behind the play. Corson. And I don't know who the Quebec player is. Might have been Gillis. We'll tell you when we come back. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC. Corson of Montreal, Lane Lambert of Quebec penalized. Each with 2 minutes at 15:20. The Lemieux and Ludwig goals that brought the Canadiens from behind 3-2 and ahead 4-3 were scored in the space of 38 seconds. So we have penalties called here. Play about to resume. Skrudlin and Gillis on the draw.
Nick, when I played, there was always mentioned the importance of face-offs and really bearing down. You never want to lose the puck cleanly the way the Nordiques did. Carbonneau winning that one.
Naslund. McPhee chasing his dump pass into the zone. McPhee and Finn, the Canadiens player, hits the ice heavily, comes up again. Can't pick up the puck. Naslund does. Naslund back toward the line, stops again. Out in front, Skrudlin knocked down by Donnelly. Green flips it high into the corner. Naslund with it. Stopped up along the boards by Cote. The Nordiques. Gillis now into the center right zone with 4:04 left in the period. Cote has to go off his stick deeper into the Montreal end of the rink. Rick Green for the Canadiens. Green off the boards for Naslund. Naslund a cross ice pass to McPhee through his skate on the play. He dumps it into the zone. Skrudlin tries to reach it. Rochefort does. It's loose at center ice for Ryan Walter, who's just come off the Montreal bench. Skrudlin. Ludwig ahead for Lemieux. A blast way high as it deflected off the stick of Brown. Chelios kept it in at the line. Walter missed his pass. Rochefort in the corner, plays it around. Here's Chelios again with a shot. Wide. He wasn't aiming at the net because he couldn't see it with all the players there. And Mike Huff comes up with the puck for Quebec to Hunter. Dale Hunter. Left side, drops it off right onto the stick of Bobby Smith, who plays it in. Here's a foot race for it. Lemieux with Rochefort. The Canadiens player tied up by Rochefort. Good play by the defenseman for Quebec, Normand Rochefort. Nordiques come right back with Huff. Working against Ludwig, drops it off for Brown. Back to Huff, two rookies combining for the Nordiques. Ludwig does the checking and the puck deflects off his stick, over the glass, and out of play. 3:02 remaining. Second period, 4-3, Canadiens lead. Left to Patrick Roy. Peter Stastny set for the draw against Guy Carbonneau. And this game has produced everything that we thought it would so far. These two teams get together. Siltanen, a shot right on, deflected into the corner. There you saw it, Gary, in reverse. That time the Nordiques won it cleanly. Peter Stastny, a shot. save. That was Anton. Now a backhand. And Craig Ludwig shovels it right to Anton Stastny, who fires it right back into the Canadiens' net. Montreal running around in their own zone, and the Nordiques tie it for Anton Stastny, his second goal of the night.
Well, you'll see that Ludwig has control of it, tries to shovel it out with his hand, puts it right on Anton Stastny's stick, and we are tied. But again, Dick, the result of a face-off, where the Nordiques won the face-off and they just continue to apply the pressure. There's Ludwig firing it right on the stick of Stastny, and you notice that Waugh from that camera position was well screened and was right through the leg. One thing the teams are doing, they're certainly capitalizing on their chances, and when the opportunity's there, they're putting them home. There's that 5-hole, and we're tied again.
17 minutes, 16 seconds.
Anton Stastny unassisted is the call. The attendance tonight, 18,003. That's 69 under what I thought it would be. Gee, I counted them. I must have missed it somewhere.
Had the calculator out, did you?
4-4. Puck shot to the Canadiens' line, and it's offside on the delay call against Quebec as Strudlin and Gillis do some extracurricular pushing and shoving. And others seem to want to join in, principally John Ogrodnik, who was being steered wide of the scene, or at least Mats Naslund was trying to steer him wide.
Well, Dick, you mentioned we're getting everything that we expected, except I didn't think we'd have this many goals.
No,
I really thought that it would be very tight checking, perhaps a 2-1 or 2-2 game, you know, at the end of regulation, but I never expected 8 goals already.
Corson and Lambert leave the penalty box. They have served their minor penalties, as we see again the latest scrum that has developed here at the Montreal Forum, where these teams will go right back at it Wednesday night, and we'll be right back at it on Hockey Night in Canada, starting at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time.
And one thing that the players are very aware of in the pre-game preparation, both coaches establish the line matchups, who they want going against each other, and that's all the player is interested when he knows he's supposed to be out there. He just watches his winger. When he comes over the bench, he takes over.
Gingras feeds the puck into the Quebec zone, catches up to it again, a sharp angle shot, dribbled through the goal crease. Ogrodnik for the Nordiques. Gillis fell heavily and is very slow getting up, and now heads directly to the bench and seems to be in some kind of physical difficulty. Corson in his own zone can't get started. Gaston Gingras swings behind the Montreal net, plays it around on the boards. Kordic dumps it past Rochefort. Corson tied up in the center ice zone. Puck is underneath the body of Ogrodnik, who was doing the tying up on Corson, and the whistle stops the play. Van Helleman doing some talking and pointing and what have you. Canadiens captain Bob Gainey will be guesting with Brian during our upcoming second intermission. We are a minute 59 away from the end of this second period. We'll see what's happening with the Islanders and the Flyers at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And the coach will be along, Don Cherry, along with Brian. That's upcoming in our second intermission. Don Ogrodnik, a bit of a controversial figure, if you will, after the trade, which saw him go from Detroit to Quebec, and they said he wasn't happy and didn't want to play there and so on, and perhaps sometimes his performance showed along that way. But in the playoffs, he has been very sharp. 5 goals in the series against the Whalers.
Well, I thought Bergeron put it very well. The checkers are checking and the scorers are now scoring.
Puck in the Quebec zone. Richer can't get started. Picks up the puck again. Richer making moves behind. Swings it out in front. Corson tied up on the play. Lemieux one-hands and a quick one-hand. Boy, that shows his strength, doesn't it? Holding off Brown and getting a shot away. Canadiens working the puck in the zone again. Richer in front, couldn't reach it. And Quebec dumps it out to center ice. A minute and a half remaining here in the second period. It's a 4-4 tie. Here's a steal by Goulet. Moving into the Canadian zone, but it's offside. Couldn't quite control the puck and his skates at the same time, and the play is thrown offside. And after that whistle goes, we get Huff and, who was it, Corson, coming together briefly. Number 18, Mike Huff, the Kitchener Juniors.
Now let's watch a goaltender operate. You notice how far that stick was out? That's to prevent a player from going right in front and dunking it. So Gosselin has that stick out, was able to deflect it into the slot area.
That was the one-hand play there by Claude Lemieux. Not a bad shot. I know some players who Really couldn't shoot the puck that hard with 2 hands, but I won't name any names. We'll just concentrate on the action here. No, I'm not looking
Why
at
are you pointing at me,
I'm not looking at you at all. Thinking of my own college career. Puck loose at the Canadiens line, and Carbonneau picks it up. Trying to work his way down the boards. Stopped up by Silton, who cut over. Carbonneau comes up with the puck again for Chris Niall in the backhand. Knocked down by Gosselin. Cleared around behind the net as the team's near the last minute of play here in the second period. Picard picked that shot off. Picard to Peter Stastny. Couldn't control it. Ludwig ahead over the stick of Gainey at center ice. Risto Siltonen. Puck deflects into the center ice zone. Not free for Peter Stastny. A drop pass for Brother Anton, who fires it wide. Off the backboards, 47 seconds left. Gainey picks up the puck in the center ice area. Gainey to Ludwig, or not quite yet. He shoots the puck in behind the net. Gosselin into the corner for Carbonneau. His shot in front was blocked. It comes to Robinson. Robinson, a shot knocked down in front again, that time by Robert Picard, and with 30 seconds left in the period. Picard shoots it to the Montreal line. McRae redirects it right on the net. Bob Gainey's going to be a little out of breath when he gets into our studios to talk with Brian. He's out there. Now he goes to the bench. Bobby Smith to Larry Robinson. They're in trouble against the checking of Gillis, which gives Code a chance, and he hit the outside of the goal post. That's happened more than once tonight, Gary. Look at here it is again. Nordiques keeping the Canadiens off balance with some effective forechecking. 8 seconds left in the period. Robinson has the loose puck now, and that'll pretty well do it here for the second period of play. So a lot of goals have been scored in this hockey game as the siren goes. And in that period, Quebec got 3, the Canadiens got 2. And it's a little more wide open, a little more loose, perhaps, in that regard than you had thought it might be.
I agree with you, Dick, and the strong forechecking has resulted in a lot of mistakes, and consequently the teams have capitalized. So at 4, and we're in for a heck of a third period.
And so the score at the end of the second period here at the Montreal Forum, the Quebec Nordiques 4, the Montreal Canadiens 4.
Remains close. Couldn't be closer. Montreal 4, Quebec 4. We have Bob Gainey with us after just completing a long shift in that second period. I wonder if you can give us sort of an analysis, a 15-second analysis of what happened in that second period to Montreal.
I think that Quebec picked up their play, and they had us off balance with a lot of long passes up the ice, catching us behind the puck. Sometimes we were outnumbered, and other times it was Stastny or Goulet giving us a lot of trouble, because we know those fellas with one step on you, they can murder you, and that's what happened in that period.
You expect a lot of trouble from those fellas.
You bet, yeah.
What did Van Hellemond say to you out there? We often wonder what the referee says when he calls the captains over, and whether the message he tells you ever reaches the rest of the fellas.
Well, it was a question of I'm on the ice with Chris Nyland, and I didn't see his infraction, and because he had 4 minutes, I wanted to check and see if it was for a high stick around the face, or exactly what it was for, and he explained the situation to me, and he really doesn't like to carry on a conversation, Andy, so he gives you what you're looking for, and then you have to leave.
So you approached him, he didn't approach you.
That's right.
How about the long layoff? Everybody's saying, I wonder if it's affected the Montreal Canadiens and how it affected them. Perhaps you'd go into that briefly.
I think it does take a little bit away from your game, your competitive edge. You practice hard and practice with intensity and concentration, but without the physical contact or the scrumming for the puck that you do at the same level when you're against a real opponent. And I think that'll come back to us. I don't think the layoff will hurt us as long as we play in the long series, as long as we go further in the playoffs, and that'll be to our advantage.
What are your feelings about this series? We asked Michel Goulet, maybe Bob Gainey could explain just sort of the definition of Montreal-Quebec meeting in the playoffs again.
Well, it's become a rivalry that took a couple of years to develop. We were used to playing in the NHL as it was set up before. We come in with a new divisional setup, and with Quebec down the road, we didn't have the confrontation before 1981, I believe, that we do now in 1980, and it's an excellent confrontation. There's all kinds of things on and off the ice that are involved in it, and believe me, there's a lot at stake.
We sure enjoy it. Do you enjoy it?
We do enjoy it, as long as things stay in control to a certain point where it's enjoyable competition. I think it's great.
I hope they do. Thank you, Bob, for joining us live on CBC. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs.
This man represents one of the most famous...
We're We're going to bring you up to date on the update game tonight. We've been watching the New York Islanders at Philadelphia, and as everybody expected, the Flyers have taken charge in that game. They took charge early. Tim Kerr has 3 goals for Philadelphia. Nackbauer has the other, and Johnson has the only goal for the New York Islanders, who must be just bone weary after their marathon experience against Washington the other night. We're going to take a look at the second period scoring at the Spectrum. Here's the goal by Kerr. It bounces right off Kelly Hrudey. And the question is, why did Hrudey start tonight? But there's the goal by Kerr to complete the hat trick, and then a few seconds later, the Islanders finally solved the riddle of young Ron Hextall with that rising slapper by Johnson. So the Flyers have the lead over the visiting Islanders tonight. There's the score in the third period now. It's 4-1, Philadelphia over the Islanders. The Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC continue in just a moment. Tied at 4 here at the Forum after 2 periods of play, and after a brief layoff, Don Cherry's back to tell us about long layoffs.
Well, I don't care what Bob says, he wouldn't say it, but the long layoff has hurt them. They're in first gear now, especially Patrick Roy. Those long layoffs really kill you. You lose that little timing, that little groove they get into, and they've lost it, and they're working their way back, though.
Are you talking from experience now?
Well, we were in first place a lot, as you know, Brian, and we used to put teams out 4 straight, and we used to have weeks off. And you know, hockey players are notorious for being cheap. They are, oh yeah. So what I used to do is I used to take $50 off each guy, and they had to put it in a pot. We'd have a game, referees, the whole deal, and boy, would they be blocking shots with their heads and everything, and they would get physical, and it'd be like playing a hockey game. You'd have the timers and everything. It'd be like playing a game. Boy, they'd be sharp coming out of it.
So that's the solution.
That's one of the solutions, and I thought that up. Harry Sinden, too, helped me on it.
Let's move on to some of the personalities involved. Would you like to begin with Claude Lemieux?
Well, I'll tell you about Claude. Claude is what I call a selfish hockey player. Now, everybody, oh, Claude, that's a terrible thing to say. I love a guy like that, and I'll tell you why. Nothing irks me more when I see a goal scorer getting over the blue line. He starts looking this way and starts looking that way. He's got a tunnel right to that goal, and he wants to put it in. He never makes those fancy plays, and that's what I like. You got to have those hungry guys that aren't looking sideways, and he's hungry and selfish.
Looks like we might do 2 sessions with you without any mention of Chris Nyland. So
no, I want to bring it in. You know, I hate to say this. People are getting tired of me. This will be the last time I'll talk about Chris for a while. But he is a marked man. There's no doubt about it. I said the last time we were on, he was a marked man for when he does something, like say if Naslund took a slash, it would gone. But he's also a marked man the other way. When you're an enforcer like that, you can get high stick, you can get knocked down, you can get put first place, you know, bang into the boards, things like that, and nothing will happen. But you know, when you're an enforcer like that, you have to accept it.
You've got 15 seconds to tell me I'm wrong when I say Patrick Roy has not looked sharp on my monitor tonight.
He has not looked sharp, and like I say, he's in first gear, but watch him, he'll get the goose going, and he'll be all right. Don't worry about Patrick Roy, he'll get her going.
We never worry about you, Grapes. Hockey Night in Canada returns in just a moment. Two of this exciting Adams Division final series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques, Wednesday night from the Forum in Montreal. One of hockey's greatest rivalries continues as Hockey Night in Canada brings you the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Five goals scored in the second period. Anton Stastny with 2, and Basil McRae for Quebec, Claude Lemieux and Craig Ludwig for the Canadiens. It's a 4-4 tie. Smith and Richer had scored for Montreal in the first period. Goulet for the Nordiques. In that period, the Canadiens outshot Quebec 16-11. It's 27-22 through 2 periods of play. Sad note on the Montreal sports scene today, and indeed on the Canadian sports scene, with news of the passing last night here in Montreal of longtime and very respected Canadian sports journalist Andy O'Brien. He was with the Montreal Standard and the Weekend Magazine and the Montreal Star. He's a member of both the Canadian and Hockey Halls of Fame. He sold programs the first night the Montreal Forum opened in 1924. Well-liked, well-respected Andy O'Brien, dead at the age of 77 following a lengthy illness.
Dick, 2 period totals for the face-offs. That's fairly close. Nordiques have won 19, Montreal 21. 2 goals were the result of face-offs. Carbonneau winning one. Ludwig scored. Anton Stasny took a little longer, but the Nordiques gained control because of a face-off. The hits are 15-11 in Montreal favor. The giveaways, because of strong forechecking, each team have coughed up the puck 10 times, so that's 20 total so far in the game. I'm sure the Nordiques are saying to themselves, we played 2 pretty good periods. Let's go out there, have a solid 3rd period, and we can sneak away with a win here.
Now they've sneaked the puck into the Canadian zone off the opening face-off here in the 3rd period. Anton Stasny, very effective so far tonight, as we mentioned, without a goal in the 6 games against Hartford, but 2 of them in that 2nd period. Puck down into the Quebec zone now, to our left. Picard plays it around on the boards. Anton across, intercepted by Carbonneau. He shoots it right back deep in the zone, and we have a penalty call coming up here on Chris Nyland. Picard had a hold of Nyland long enough for Nyland to retaliate. And so Chris Nyland, who sat out a 4-minute penalty earlier in the hockey game, now heads to the penalty box once again.
Nick, I think that both teams really have to forget about the cheap shots and not retaliate. And that's just a dumb penalty by Nyland. He may have got rubbed out there, but he'll retaliate and take 2 minutes. Here it comes. And all you're doing is giving the Nordiques an opportunity of winning this hockey game. And I think that here's where you really have to use discipline and self-control. Stay on the ice.
Well, Nyland was yelling at Van Hellemond, who was making the announcement, and Gainey skates over and says to Chris, hey, cool down. There you see Bob Gainey standing in front of the penalty box.
Well, he's got 4 again. Now, this has to be an absolute first. This is the 3rd time in tonight's hockey game that we've seen double minors against players.
I will see why. There we'll pick up the announcement here.
2 minutes pour conduite anti-sportive et 10 minutes mauvaise conduite.
And he picks up a 10-minute misconduct penalty as well. 14 minutes against Nyland.
The penalties to the Canadiens, number 30, Chris Nyland. 2 minutes for high sticking, 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct, and a 10-minute misconduct penalty at 33 seconds.
Well, the second minor, as you heard Claude Mouton announce, comes as a result of something that Nyland said to Van Hellemond. And Gary, you get right back to your bottom line through all of that. You've got to keep your cool at situations like this, especially in a situation that really wasn't having any effect on the play at all at that moment.
That's right, Dick. And, you know, you work so hard to get home ice advantage, and by a silly penalty that Nyland took, plus compounding it by having to say something uncomplimentary to Van Hellemond, you really put your team behind the 8 ball. And now, the main thing is, can the Nordiques take advantage of this?
Well, 2 Canadians very familiar with the area of the penalty box in the Montreal Forum. Nyland and John Kordick are there. Kordick sitting out the 4 minutes. Nyland will then have another 10. So talk about line matchups. Talk about your system. The Canadians' lines are really gone now for almost the balance of this period. All of this coming at 33 seconds, but they lose a regular right winger for the next 14 minutes.
Dick, in the first period, the Nordiques looked very good in the power play. In the second period, they looked like a Bantam hockey club. So they want to get that turned around, because right now they're leading the league in power play efficiency. They've scored 12 power play goals so far.
Quebec with the puck now. Peter Stastny, center ice area. Cross ice pass. Goulet feeds it into the zone, blocked by Chelios, who knocked it down, plays it off the glass and down the ice.
Well, the biggest problem that the Nordiques are having right now is getting it over the Montreal zone. They just don't have a player, somebody like Bobby Smith, that can carry it over the blue lines.
Goulet trying his luck in that regard now. Anton Stastny then shovels it behind the Montreal net. Chelios runs into Peter Stastny, but the puck is loose for Brian Skrudlin, and he shoots it down the ice. So Quebec unable to set up anything in the Canadian zone so far. Goulet fell down. I didn't see why. He looked back at Van Hellemond. That was way far removed from the play. Where the puck was anyway. Here's Siltanen. Center ice area. It's a 4-4 tie. Quebec with a big chance here, but Siltanen stopped at center ice by Mike McPhee. McPhee hanging on to the puck, killing some time for the Canadians. Gets it back down to Chelios, and Chelios flips it high inside the Quebec line. Hunter now, as both teams make changes. Quebec with a lot of players on the ice. The crowd yells. The officials don't react. Lafreniere back at the blue line. Finn to Ogrodnik. Back to Finn again. A shot. They score on a deflection. Dale Hunter got his stick on it. They'll still have a man advantage because 29 seconds were left in the first Nyland minor penalty. So Quebec takes the lead and stays on the power play.
I think right now Nyland would like to crawl underneath the bench in the penalty box, and you see a concerned look on the face of Perron right now as the Nordiques have scored their first power play goal of the game and grabbed that 5-4 lead. Well, there's two ways of playing it: getting right up against the goaltender to set up the screen, or getting out about 15 feet and changing the direction of the shot. Hunter just put that stick down and beat Waugh to the short side.
So the high sticking penalty was being served when they got that goal. Now Nyland starts to serve his unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. At least it's on the time clock. He has more to go after that with the misconduct.
Next goal is first of the year, scored by number 32, Dale Hunter.
Hunter into the zone again.
Assisted by number 29, Stephen Finn. Et numéro 25 and number 25, John Ogrodnik. À 2 minutes 4 secondes at 2 minutes 4 seconds.
And that goal by Hunter gives the Quebec Nordiques a 5-4 lead early in this third period. Puck into the Canadian zone again. Chilios against Lafreniere. Chilios comes up with it for the Canadians. He's got Carbonneau with him. Chilios to the line, working against Brown. Goes behind the net. Brown takes him out. Finn, the two rookies on defense for Quebec. He plays the puck around the corner. Goulet, cross-ice pass to the open wing, and here comes Brown. Drops it off for Peter Stastny. Into Lafreniere. Back to Peter. Over to Picard. Picard into the corner. Brown back to Stastny again, who's playing the right point here. Stastny a drive, and that's knocked down in front by Chelios. Gainey can't clear the zone the first try, gets it out the second. Canadians making changes right here. Chelios took a rap with his stick at Peter Stastny, who now skates back close to Chelios and keeps yelling at him. 3.5 minutes gone here in this third period, and it's a good start for Quebec as they break the tie in the power play, and they're still on the power play. Picard behind the net. Ludwig with it. Ludwig checked by Michel Goulet. He rolls it out in front. Nobody there for Quebec, and the Canadians bring it out. Strudlin to McPhee. At the line, Ludwig trailing. McPhee a drive right on. Gosselin had to make a pad save. Now Strudlin knocks the puck away from Anton. Gets it over to McPhee again. Another drive off the post, short side. Ludwig a shot wide. Canadians playing well here. They're in the Quebec zone as they kill the penalty time. Robinson behind the net. Gosselin didn't play it cleanly, but Peter Stastny picks it up. And now the penalty time is over. So the Canadians got through the second minor, Gary. The first one cost them, and it's 5-4 Quebec.
Well, Dick, it'll be interesting to see how the Nordiques play now. Are they going to try and sit on that or continue to do some strong forechecking?
Ryan Walter checking the puck away from Goulet. That's just what you said they might do, and they did it. There's Smith a drive from well out, however. Gosselin no trouble. The rebound picked up here by Gillis. Gillis plays it off the boards over the stick of Goulet, and it's Gingras in the center ice area. 5-4 Nordiques. Canadians come back. Smith to Lemieux with a quick shot, but that went off Silton and wide. On the far side, Bobby Smith lets it go right on. Gosselin has to make another save. But they're firing from well out, Gary. They haven't had a good close-in chance. Here's Smith trying to send it out in front. Tied up by Gillis on the play. Puck behind the net. Cote on the far side. He just eases it down the ice. And right here, this is going to be an icing call against the Nordiques. Robinson touches the puck, and the whistle goes. From the Montreal Forum, the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC.
For every inch of the...
In the Quebec zone, 5-4, Nordiques lead.
A true reaction by hometown fans. What looked like it might be called a penalty, they're going to yell and hoping that they're hollering and screaming can make a decision.
Here's a break for Ogrodnik. He's in alone. Shoot, scores! 6-4 Quebec. John Ogrodnik got the break and took advantage of it.
Well, it looks like a guy that just lost his best friend, Dick. You know, he had mentioned earlier, and Nyland, of course, sitting there watching all this. But there's the shot through the middle, hits a Montreal player, and away Ogrodnik goes. See, he was on full flight all the way. Boy, does he pick that corner. He's got the head up, he's got the stick, good control, and picks a spot. That's two broken plays now that have resulted in goals for the Nordiques.
So they have a 2-goal lead. First time either club has been up by 2.
as St. Louis Rangers is on at 5 minutes 22 seconds.
5:22, the time of Quebec's 6th goal, and here they come again with Hunter. Stopped by Chris Chelios. Now remember, the Montreal Canadiens unbeaten through 14 games, but they're down by 2 right here. Third period. Gingras to the line, offside. Siltanen with the poke check, and that threw the play offside at the Quebec blue line. Ogrodnik in 32 regular season games with Quebec after being traded from Detroit, 11 goals. Now in his 7th playoff game, 6 goals. Now that's performance.
They're getting good production, you know, from Goulet and Stastny, and Anton didn't have any goals going into this game. He's got 2, and then Ogrodnik. So the power is certainly there, the scoring power of the Nordiques, and they're demonstrating that tonight. Dick, we had talked about Canadians just not being sharp behind their blue line. It's probably their worst game behind their blue line in the playoffs so far.
Svoboda to the Quebec line. Siltanen plays it around on the boards, and it ricochets off the dasher out of play. Van Elleman says the faceoff will be in the area to the left of Mario Gosselin. The helmet of number 25, John Ogrodnik, who has just scored that breakaway goal to give his team the 2-goal edge.
Well, I must mention again, you know, coaches want you to play aggressively. They want you to take the body. But by golly, when you take the bad penalty, especially in the offensive zone, it can be a killer, and it never has been so clear as the game tonight in which Nyland took those 2.
Oh, that first Quebec goal on his double minor, the one that made it 5-4, the Hunter deflection. The deflection deflated the Canadiens, it seemed. They really haven't threatened at all since. They had 3 or 4 shots, but all of them from very far out. Gosselin with no trouble. There we get the puck flipped out of play again in the Quebec zone. So the Canadiens have been set back on their heels in this 3rd period.
You notice the oxygen being used on the bench for the Nordiques. You come up for a shift, grab a little bit of oxygen, and hopefully your recovery period is a lot better. Remember Guy Gendron?
Yep.
We had it in the playoffs one time. He came over the bench, the trainer asked him, well, how was it? He says, great, I feel ready to go. Here, the thing wasn't even turned on. So sometimes it's all in the head, all in the mind.
Face-off, control by Montreal. Gainey tries to send it out in front. Doesn't make it. McRae plays it past Rick Green and down the ice. You ever try the auction yourself?
No, I don't believe. My shifts were never that long.
Well, it's warm in the building. Warm today. It's the 2nd indoor game played in Montreal today. Svoboda to Gainey. 6-4 Quebec. And the Canadiens struggling right here. Puck to the Quebec line, and McRae doesn't get it out past Rick Green, who brings it into the corner. Green being checked from behind by Stastny. Now it's McRae. Canadiens can't set up anything in the zone, and Quebec brings it back. McRae on the left side against Lemieux. McRae behind the net, spun around, falls down. Svoboda sidesteps McRae, but Muller hangs onto the puck, shoots it through. It's blocked. Long rebound right back to the blue line for Finn. He lets it go off the stick of Green and way up into the seats, out of play in the Forum to our right in the north end. Live on CBC, this is Hockey Night in Canada.
These days, there's a lot of different mufflers on the road. Unfortunately, that...
Minor skirmish as the whistle went, and as a result, Basil McRae of the Nordiques and Guy Carbonneau of the Canadiens have gone to the penalty box. There's Carbonneau sitting beside his right winger, Nyland, who happens to be to his left in the box.
Well, that's a good trade-off for the Nordiques. They would like to have Carbonneau sitting in the penalty box. You see to the left of your screen, number 21. And you see Basil McRae trying to win an Academy Award for trying to draw a penalty. Well, Van Hellemond didn't go for it, but he decided to send them both to the penalty box.
Guy Carbonneau, 2 minutes pour Rudess, à 7 minutes 11 secondes. The penalties to Quebec number 17, Basil McRae, 2 minutes for high sticking. To the Canadiens number 21, Guy Carbonneau, 2 minutes for roughing, at 7 minutes 11 seconds.
And as you saw, Finn's shot was grabbed by Roy. So they'll have a face-off, the other face-off circle to the left of Patrick Roy in the Canadian zone. There is Gillis, number 23. Toronto native in his 4th season, and I've always thought that he has been one of the most effective players for Quebec against Montreal these last couple of seasons. Not a big scorer, only 13 goals in the regular season, but I tell you, you know he's out there every time he takes a shift.
Well, Bob Smith really paid him a good compliment. He said when the Nordiques are ahead, he can be the toughest player in the checking role than he's ever played against because he watches so closely.
Muller shot, they score! And I think that went off Gillis. And suddenly the Nordiques are starting to run away and hide. 3 unanswered goals in the first 7 minutes and 21 seconds. And Patrick Roy hasn't known a night like this in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is his 25th straight game, as we mentioned. Take a look at this. Follow the bouncing puck.
Hit 2 players. Bounced twice. Once at the top of the circle, once just to the left in that scrum, and then through the legs of Patrick Roy, and I think he is finished for the night.
Did that hit Gillis on the shoulder and drop down?
Originally it did, yes, Dick.
So Patrick gets a breather. And Brian Hayward will make his first Stanley Cup playoff appearance in a Montreal Canadiens uniform. You know, Gary, in 80 regular season games, and the Canadiens finished with the best goals against mark in the NHL, they changed goaltenders during a game only 3 times, and one of those occasions was a night when Patrick Roy was ill. It wasn't to do with his goaltending. So here we are in their 5th playoff game. The change is made after the Nordiques had opened up a 7-4 lead.
Now that was a result of another face-off, which the Nordiques won, scoring their 7th goal. But you know, through all this, Hayward led the league in goals against average, hasn't played a minute up till now, but has been very professional through it all. He's kept himself ready, worked hard in practice, and when called upon, hopefully he'll be able to help the club. Let's see.
I had mentioned Gillis didn't have any goals in the playoffs, so now he's got 1. Muller and Cote assisting him, 7-21. So Quebec in this period, Hunter on a power play, Ogrodnik and Gillis, the 3 goal scorers, and they've got the 7-4 lead. And you would have to think that it's just a little too much for the Canadiens to do anything about to keep their streak alive. 12:16 remaining, regulation tie. Nordiques ahead by 3.
This is a place where people escape tension and anxiety.
So they'll have a face-off, the other face-off circle to the left of Patrick Roy in the Canadian zone. There is Gillis, number 23. Toronto native in his 4th season, and I've always thought that he has been one of the most effective players for Quebec against Montreal these last couple of seasons. Not a big scorer, only 13 goals in the regular season, but I tell you, you know he's out there every time he takes a shift.
Well, Bob Smith really paid him a good compliment. He said when the Nordiques are ahead, he can be the toughest player in the checking role than he's ever played against because he watches so closely.
Muller shot, they score! And I think that went off Gillis. And suddenly the Nordiques are starting to run away and hide. 3 unanswered goals in the first 7 minutes and 21 seconds. And Patrick Roy hasn't known a night like this in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is his 25th straight game, as we mentioned. Take a look at this. Follow the bouncing puck.
Hit 2 players. Bounced twice. Once at the top of the circle, once just to the left in that scrum, and then through the legs of Patrick Roy, and I think he is finished for the night.
Did that hit Gillis on the shoulder and drop down?
Originally it did, yes, Dick.
So Patrick gets a breather. And Brian Hayward will make his first Stanley Cup playoff appearance in a Montreal Canadiens uniform. You know, Gary, in 80 regular season games, and the Canadiens finished with the best goals against mark in the NHL, they changed goaltenders during a game only 3 times, and one of those occasions was a night when Patrick Roy was ill. It wasn't to do with his goaltending. So here we are in their 5th playoff game. The change is made after the Nordiques had opened up a 7-4 lead.
Now that was a result of another face-off, which the Nordiques won, scoring their 7th goal. But you know, through all this, Hayward led the league in goals against average, hasn't played a minute up till now, but has been very professional through it all. He's kept himself ready, worked hard in practice, and when called upon, hopefully he'll be able to help the club. Let's see.
I had mentioned Gillis didn't have any goals in the playoffs, so now he's got one. Muller and Cote assisting him, 7:21. So Quebec in this period, Hunter on a power play, Ogrodnik and Gillis, the 3 goal scorers, and they've got the 7-4 lead. And you would have to think that it's just a little too much for the Canadiens to do anything about to keep their streak alive. 12:16 remaining, regulation tie. Nordiques ahead by 3.
This is a place where people escape tension and anxiety.
This Adams Division final series between Montreal and Quebec Wednesday night from Montreal as Hockey Night in Canada brings you the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Now the Nordiques are so sky high right now with emotion and having that 7-4 lead, and it's up to Bergeron just to make sure that they have cool heads. They can really shut down the Canadiens now, especially between the 2 blue lines, make sure everybody's coming back, and just wait for Montreal to open up, you know, with a pinching of the defenseman, Dick, and they can get a lot more 2-on-1s and 3-on-1 breaks.
Siltanen deep in his own zone for the Nordiques. And the puck is off the boards and out to center ice. Quebec here tonight, Gary, looking as I felt they did when I was watching the television version of their final 2 games in the Hartford series. Just a step faster than the opposition. Just a little bit more of an edge in that regard. They've got a big edge on the scoreboard right here, 7-4. The Canadiens in their own zone, as Gary pointed out, a far cry from the way they played in the series against the Bruins. Brown ahead for Michel Goulet, who started the scoring way back in the first period. Puck steered wide by Hayward, and Robinson, with the Nordiques changing, brings it up into the center ice area. Has it again against Stastny's checking, then Brown knocks it ahead for Anton, who's out there with Peter and Ogrodnik.
Dick, the Nordiques are changing about every 40 seconds right now. They don't want any tired hockey players on the ice.
Richer hasn't been on the ice much in this third period. Chased the puck down into the zone. It's drilled around off the boards, and Ogrodnik now, cross-ice pass. Stastny after it. Bumped off the puck by Gaston Gingras. Ahead for Chris Chelios. Chelios up the center ice lane to the blue line. Runs into a check from Rochefort. Rochefort took a slash at him. He's going to get a penalty on the play. Walter has it behind the net for Smith. Smith works it out in front. It's blocked at the side of the net. The whistle goes. Rochefort trying to draw Van Helleman's attention to the fact that he was quit, so he says, and now goes into the motions as to what was done to him. In any event, it's Rochefort who would appear to be the only player penalized on the play. The Stanley Cup playoffs return in just a moment. On the play somewhere along the way, but he's the one who draws the slashing penalty. You can only figure that that was a retaliation. So the Nordiques, who lead 7-4 here, with 9:27 gone in this third period.
Dick, they're having a little meeting with the 2 officials to see if they saw the incident against Rochefort.
All right, maybe we're going to look at it here. Chelios moves in on him. Chelios trying to work his way by. That's where the stick hit Rochefort, who then retaliates with the 2-handers, and he gets a double minor penalty.
4 minutes pour le bâton élevé à 9 minutes 27 secondes. Quebec's penalty number 5, Normand Rochefort. 4 minutes for high sticking at 9 minutes 27 seconds.
So while all of this talking and gesturing and posing is going on here at the Montreal Forum, we're all set for another Hockey Night in Canada update.
It's all over at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Flyers jump ahead in the series 1-0, but the Islanders leave the Flyers something to remember them by with 12 seconds to play. Goal by Gilbert, as Hextall was slow to react on that one. There's your final score. Philadelphia 4, the Islanders 2.
They still haven't sorted things out here at the Forum.
One thing is for certain, the Montreal Canadiens have 4 minutes worth of power play, so now the Nordiques are up against it. You know, Dick, it's very difficult to keep your cool when you've just been clipped in the face and you're bleeding, not to retaliate. And it takes a special type of athlete to be able to just not do what Rochefort did. In any event, We'll see what happens now as far as the Canadiens are concerned, and I'm sure that all the Nordiques, including Bergeron, felt that they got the raw end of that deal.
Gillis and Cote up front, Picard and Muller on defense. Quebec has done an excellent job of penalty killing tonight. One power play goal against them, but they've had some good turns at it. For Montreal on the power play, Smith, Lemieux, Naslund, Gingras, and Robinson. We have 10:33 remaining in this third period. Quebec leading Montreal by a score of 7-4. Gillis and Bobby Smith set for the face-off. Gillis has scored here in this period as Quebec has come up with 3 unanswered goals. Canadians control off the face-off. Robinson. Left side for Gingras. Lets it go way high and wide. Naslund stops it along the boards. Then his pass redirects to Muller, and the Nordiques defense bad shoots it down the ice inside the Montreal line, and Robinson has to go back. Robinson to Gingras to Naslund. Naslund trying to get away from Gillis. Takes onto him. Naslund flips the puck into the zone. Gosselin a backhand. Naslund is there. Smith coming in to help out. Has the puck now in the corner. Smith back to Naslund. They've passed the halfway point in the period. Gingras, Smith failed in a deflection try. Robinson, cross for Naslund. In front, Smith couldn't make contact there either. Robinson at the blue line, tries to keep the puck in, does to Naslund. Mats Naslund, taking a look, hanging on, now to Gingras, back to Naslund again. Naslund to Smith in the slot, back to Gingras. And the fans getting a little impatient with the Canadian. Here's a race for it after Gillis did the checking on Gingras. Good job by Quebec. And here's Cote working his way by Gingras. Gingras hauls him down. Cote falls. Play goes right on. Gingras ahead for Naslund. To the line. Stick handling left side. Flips it through. Knocked down by Picard. He shoots it down the ice. Good play by Robert Picard. 2:35 remaining in the double minor being served by the Nordiques Rochefort. In fact, he's gone to the dressing room. Lafreniere's in the penalty box. 7-4, Quebec leads in the game. Chilios into the zone with Corson. Corson overskates the puck. Plays it behind the net. Nobody there from Montreal. Finn picks it up, shoots it at center ice. It deflects high. And the Canadians have to regroup again.
Well, if there's any chance of Montreal coming back, they have to do some damage on this next 2 minutes and 5 seconds. They have to score.
Carson trying to work his way into the zone to pick up the puck. Finn is right there with him. He pokes it loose to Ryan Walter. Back to Chilios. Chilios a drive blocked by Gillis. And again we have a race for the puck toward the Canadian zone. Gillis overskated it, got his stick on it. Pass it behind Cote. 1:45 left. The first 2 minutes is over. Corson fails to knock down a high pass from Walter. Behind the net, Richer has it. Stops up, Stéphane Richer looking. Out in front to Walter, and he was covered by Cote, who's had a terrific hockey game defensively tonight for Quebec, and the Nordiques clear it down the ice. Center ice, Chelios with it. Quebec on a change. Huff is on up front along with Gillis. Lemieux trying to get free in the zone, can't do it, and Quebec just very casually shoots it down the ice.
Well, they're certainly playing with a lot of confidence, Dick, and a lot of that started with a victory over Hartford, and they've carried it on tonight. Everybody, the Nordiques playing their position so well.
Naslund, left side for Svoboda. Working past Muller. And then Lemieux couldn't handle the pass. Green with the puck. Green to Svoboda. 52 seconds left in the power play time. Svoboda to Green. Across to Naslund. Into the corner. Tried to center it. It was blocked. Gillis with it here, and he just likes to set out one-on-one, then turns, takes his time. Green is the Canadian defenseman back, and Gillis dumps it into the Montreal zone. 7:07 left, third period. 7-4, Quebec leads. Canadians on the last throes of a 4-minute power play here. McPhee bumping in the corner with Picard. Cote is blazing around. Far side, Green misses it. After it is Dale Hunter. Left side, into the zone. That's a shot go. Hayward knocks it down. Gingras after it. 12 seconds left in the power play. Gaston Gingras into the center ice area. To the blue line. Fake the shot. Left side. Over it goes for Richer with a drive. Hit Finn in front of the net. And the penalty is over. Nordiques break out of their own zone. Peter Stastny's got Brown in front. Brown, a shot. Didn't make good contact with it. And the Canadians survived that rush. Richer takes the pass neatly on the backhand. A long drive high over the net. McPhee fans on it, and it's out to center ice. Peter Stastny Finn ahead to Lafreniere, and you're right, Gary. It's just the confidence level here for Quebec is as high as I've seen it in any game between these teams this year.
See, there's a good play by Rochefort. He's trying to break up the play between the two blue lines, not give Montreal that skating room. Good play defensively.
Goulet, right side, into the zone. Drop pass for Peter Stastny, and then his return pass, or his pass to Lambert, rather, blocked by Shane Corson. 5:45 left. Third period. Siltanen across to Rochefort, and they play it back. They're in no hurry to go anywhere. Lambert. Minute shot into the zone.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? As long as you have the puck, the opposition can't do anything, so why not just hang on to it?
And it's Ludwig who dumps it down the ice. So it would appear, barring a miracle comeback by the Montreal Canadiens, that their long streak has ended, and the Nordiques have a leg up in this Adams Division final. Corson has it at center ice. Trying to work his way by Finn. Drops it off. Hunter comes up with it. Fires it behind Goulet into the center ice area. Hayward plays it ahead for Guy Carbonneau with 5 minutes to play in the third period. Quebec 7, Montreal 4. Puck is flipped into the zone. Lemieux is there, and he can't center it. Ogrodnik to Lane Lambert. 2 ex-Red Wings. Now it's Lambert. Stopped up in the blue line area. Lafreniere follows up. Puck rolls through. Hayward gets a stick on it, and they just roll it wide. Ogrodnik was there. Bobby Smith swings into the center ice area to the Quebec line. Stick handling, trying to barge through. Does, and he flips the puck and hit the stick of the goaltender. Went over the net as Smith was knocked down by Picard, and the puck rolls out to center ice. Chelios turning. Chris Chelios winds up, lets it go high, and it's out into the center ice area. Less than 5 minutes to play. Regulation time. Naslund can't find Chelios with a pass, and round they go. This is exactly to the liking of the Quebec Nordiques, who are on the verge of their first win this season in this building. Here is Stéphane Richer to Kordic with a drive, and he scores! John Kordic, 7-5 to score.
An unexpected player to score a goal for Montreal, but he was given the time, and I've watched him in practice. He does possess a pretty good wrist shot. That time he used a slap shot and just overpowered Gosselin. But the Nordiques had a chance at getting it over the blue line, just weren't quite strong enough. Now Richer has the presence to look for that open man, and there isn't anything wrong by shooting the puck from the top of the circle. Well, within 2, 3:53 left.
Canadiens goal is first of the series, scored by number 31, John Kordic. Avec le numéro 44, assisted by number 44, Stéphane Richer. À 16 minutes, 7 secondes, at 16 minutes, 7 seconds.
What do they say, Dick, that in playoff hockey it's supposed to be close checking, not many scoring chances? It's been a netminder's nightmare.
You know, normally a team like the Montreal Canadiens, 5 goals is plenty to win a hockey game. Richer moving into the zone. Here he comes, knocked down by Muller. Rochefort has the clutch on Kordic, and he's going to draw a penalty. Wow. Green, puck comes to Cote. And as that old philosopher Yogi Berra once said, it's never over till it's over. Hockey night in Canada, a Canadian tradition. Came up empty because of 2 minor penalties assessed to Normand Rochefort. Now he has a 2-minute minor called on him for holding at 16:37. But this one, Gary, the one difference, if you want to look at it from a Montreal standpoint, they're coming off a goal. Always gives the team a lift.
That's right. And, you know, the Nordiques had this game on a silver platter, and they're certainly, especially Rochefort, trying to give it back.
Normand Rochefort, 2 minutes for holding at 16 minutes, 36 seconds.
Face off in the Quebec zone. Smith, Naslund, Walter, Robinson, and Chelios for Montreal. Again, the ever-present Alain Cote killing the penalty along with Gillis. Puck is controlled by the Canadiens after a fashion in the crowd, but Walter couldn't find Chelios with the pass. Now it's Walter at center ice to Smith. He flips it in, Naslund after it into the zone, so as Walter runs interference, steers Picard away. Robinson at the blue line. He drives one just wide on a deflection. Bobby Smith to Chelios. Cross for Robinson. Over to Smith. Quick shot. Oh, Gosselin with a super glove grab, and he hangs on. 1:33 left in the Rochefort penalty.
Now, Gosselin knows that even though he's let in 5 goals, it's important for him to maintain that concentration, and he really has to come up with some big saves. Well, he did it right there, folks, stretching out that glove hand. Because you know the Canadians are going to get some good shots on net. Through a screen, Robinson hits the crossbar. Another close opportunity, and the ever-present number 11, Ryan Walter, standing in front of the net.
Face off to the right of Gosselin. Canadians with the same 5. Hunter and Huff take over up front for Quebec. False start on the draw, and both Hunter and Smith leave. Huff and Walter take over.
Well, that's not bad, Dick, because Ryan Walter takes a lot of key faceoffs for Montreal, so that's probably to their benefit.
He wins this one to Robinson, to Chelios, a drive, and it's blocked, and here's a break down the right side for Mike Huff. Into the Canadian zone, working in on Hayward. Can't get the shot away. Robinson caught him on the play. Now it's Walter coming back for Montreal. Against Picard, they jam along the boards. Huff, Smith, there's traffic on the far side. Puck comes loose for Naslund, can't get a shot away, and it's cleared by Muller past Chelios down the ice. Hayward way out of the net on the play. Backhands it into his own zone. Hunter picks it up. Does he score? No, Hayward is there. Yes, he is. I think the puck was in over the line.
Yes, sirree, and the goal judge didn't put on the light.
Well, I don't know. From my view, I thought I saw it under the pad. The goal judge, I don't think from his view, could see it. Now, take a look at it.
Oh, Dick, I tell you, I thought that puck was behind the line, underneath the pad, just as you had said.
Well, it's hard to see there from that angle.
Get a better view of it from the other position.
But it will not be a goal. And from our viewpoint, perhaps the Canadians got off lucky after a very shaky play on the part of Brian Hayward. The fans went, ooh, when he passed it behind him and around the back of the net. 2:25 left in the third period, 1:01 remaining in the Rochefort penalty.
Well, that's why they mention about goaltending, how important it is to be able to handle the puck, be able to have a good wrist shot. Nobody, I think, will ever have a wrist shot like Hextall of Philadelphia, but the safe play would certainly have been to bank it off the boards.
All right, we're trying to slow this down a little bit. And Gary, you're younger than I am. Your eyes are better than mine. Can you see the puck there?
No, you can't. But you notice, I don't know who the Montreal Canadian player was. He was dragging the puck from behind the goal crease.
Robinson.
The first shot that we had on the original play, you could see the puck was a good 2 or 3 inches beyond the goal crease, under the pad.
7-5 Quebec, 2:22 left, third period. Montreal on a power play, but getting nowhere against the checking of Gillis, who has been very strong in a penalty-killing role tonight. Now it's Gingras ahead to McPhee. McPhee knocked down by Picard. Gingras hustles over, but the ever-present Cote is there. 2:02 left, third period. Gingras, left side, McPhee. Plays it behind the net. Far side, Richer. Richer poke checked by Cote. And the Canadians can't get anything set up inside the Quebec blue line. 22 seconds left in the power play. Richer moving to the blue line. Stick handles. Loses his balance. Lemieux can't find it to get it set for a shot. Gingras pinches in. Gillis is there. Gillis to Picard. Picard golfs it. Hits his own man, Cote. Puck still not out of the zone. 5 seconds left in the penalty. Gingras tried to shovel it in front. Now has it. Takes a look. Takes the big slapper. Out in front. Svoboda couldn't get the shot away. The penalty is over. And the Nordiques bring it out to center ice. Rochefort, who was in the box, shoots it wide. And with 1:10 left, the Nordiques still have that 7-5 lead. Carbonneau drills it into the Quebec zone. And it's ahead for Lambert, offside on a 2-line pass. Just offside in the red line area. Live on the CBC, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Timeout.
Well, the Canadians have called a timeout. Gary, for the first time in 40 days, or make it 40 nights, the Canadians are 1:02 away from a defeat. That was the last time they were beaten, March the 11th.
Well, it has to happen sooner or later, and I think Jean Perron is going to have to make an interesting choice of goaltenders for the next game. You come back with Patrick Waugh, who was shaky the whole night. Dick, right from the opening face-off, he had trouble with the puck, handling the puck, and resulted in 7 goals against. Or you give the duty of the second game to Brian Hayward, who had such an exceptional season and has played very little.
Do coaches look in a situation like this with the 2 goaltender system? Would they make a judgment call on that based on practice tomorrow?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think they would at all. My gut feeling is that he'll come back with Waugh because he's the guy that did it for him last year, and he's had a good run against Boston. He had an off night tonight, but that's when you want to put that goaltender right back. And you know that layoff, it's going to affect your goaltender more so than any other player, because in practice, players will not bear down like they normally do in a game.
Well, right now, the Canadiens don't have a goaltender. They've pulled Hayward. They have 6 skaters, but they don't win the face-off at the blue line. Into the final minute of play. Montreal with the net empty. And we get an offside call with 57 seconds left showing on the scoreboard clock. Patrick Roy removed from a playoff game for the first time in his career, which has spanned through to this, his 25th playoff game. We mentioned off the top of the show he was making his 25th consecutive start in the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens. There is Brian Hayward at the other end of the bench. All right, draw is won by Quebec, but Muller couldn't pick it up. Now Smith knocks down his clearing shot out to Ryan Walter. Canadiens in the zone. They have an extra attacker, Peter Stastny with it. Stastny ahead. Brother Anton, he's got Huff with him. Anton Stastny, does he get a hat trick? He fakes over to Huff. Puck is loose. Walter's there checking, and it's knocked away by Chelios. 35 seconds left. The Canadiens come back, but Smith can't reach the rolling puck at the Quebec line. Strange play leading into the Canadiens' goal area, and the Nordiques couldn't cash in with the net wide open. 22 seconds left, third period. Quebec ahead by 2. Puck along the boards, kept in by Carbonneau. Now it's shot out into the neutral zone. So they'll play this one out. And the Nordiques win the first one. And it's a big one. As you pointed out, Gary, visiting teams in a best of 7 are the team without the home ice advantage. They just got to have to win the one game. Here's a chance now moving in, but the siren goes before Goulet puts it in the net. Michel Bergeron's reaction tells it all. So do the Nordic players as they go down to congratulate Gosselin. And it is, of course, something special when the Quebec Nordiques and or the Montreal Canadiens win a game in this rivalry in the other team's building. And for the first time this season, that's what the Nordiques have done.
That's right, Dick, and it wasn't a classic as far as checking was concerned because there were a lot of mistakes. It's the fact is that Nordiques were able to capitalize more so than the Montreal Canadiens. They were looking for one game. They got it in the very